Hello and welcome to DCP Live episode number 220, the Let's All Go Get Our Refunds at the PS4 Store edition.
Breaking news, man.
Breaking news.
That is breaking news. I think we can talk about it like slightly, just a little bit. It's breaking news.
Here we go. Breaking news. We excuse this broadcast for a breaking news segment. Someone's supposed to take over.
Sony.
I thought you were gonna say.
Sony this evening has pulled Cyberpunk 2077 from their store.
Wowzers.
We'll get. Well, why is that, you may ask? Well, I will get you the official statement as soon as I finish typing.
Apparently,
Briar, how does that make you
Cyberpunk's broke.
feel? I'm here on the scene with Briar Rabbit. Briar, how does that make you feel?
It gives me the chuckles. I like to see the chaos of the whole situation. I really like Patrick Klepek's thought on the subject is, can you patch a game that's no longer available on the store? Like, is that
That's
even possible?
Yeah.
I also, it makes me want to run to Best Buy and get a physical copy in case they take
Collector's
those
edition.
off the
In
shelves.
case it never gets released again.
And it also makes me wonder if I have a PS5 and I'm perfectly happy with the gameplay experience that I'm having. Like, how does that affect me?
Yeah,
I think you
fascinating.
still get to play it, right?
Yeah,
You
it
can't
doesn't
purchase it
doesn't
anywhere.
automatically delete off your hard drive. You just we
Yeah.
don't know about the patches or anything like that.
They're not allowing any more people to digitally download it and then be like, I want a refund. They're just like, we're taking it off. If you want a
Yeah.
refund, you can get the refund. So here's the official statement from Sony. They said SIE strives to ensure a high level of customer satisfaction. Therefore, we will begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased Cyberpunk 2077 via the PlayStation Store. SIE will also be removing Cyberpunk 2077 from the PlayStation Store until further notice. Once we have confirmed that you purchased Cyberpunk 2077 via the PlayStation Store, we will begin processing your refund. Please note that completion of the refund may vary based on your payment method and financial institution.
Wait a minute. So they are automatically refunding everybody who bought it on the PlayStation Store.
If you want a refund,
If you want
They're
to
just
refund, how do
making
you
it
request
available
it?
to everybody.
all
don't know that-
gamers can get it if they want.
That's a
Do you
good
have to
question.
call them to get it? Because
There
think
was a
that's how you-
link.
There was a link.
There was.
That's
I
how you
think
had to do it
there's-
before. So you had
There's-
to call them.
There's a lawn
I think
gnome
they-
that you have to go leave a
They
note
did like
under a rock.
I think there's a specific link that you do.
Yeah, I mean,
The
they have
Sony
like
lawn
their
gnome.
standard refund process. So my guess is you still can. I mean, you can log into PlayStation.com and find it pretty easily that way if you're serious.
Yeah.
About it. I mean, it's interesting too that it draws into question like, I mean, I don't want to stereotype, but are gamers, the most like trustworthy when it comes to the idea of, let's say they played the whole thing and actually kind of liked it, but they're like, hey, I want my money back. It's a tough year. Like,
Yeah.
it's an interesting situation to
Right.
be in, even though they also maybe deserve a refund.
So I know
So-
for a fact that once you get a refund for something off of the PlayStation Store, you can no longer play it. I know that because I have had to refund. I accidentally bought 2 versions of a Call of Duty game one year.
Accidentally bought Call of Duty.
So I had to call them and like try and figure out like why I had been charged $120 for a $60 game, and that's what I had done. But during that phone call, there was a miscommunication, and they refunded me $120, but they took both copies back, so I could no longer play the version that I did want to play. So I had to rebuy it again, even though it was installed on my hard drive to play it.
Right, because there's a digital license involved right there. They verify the
Right.
license, and then you can actually play the software.
Yeah,
So it would make sense you wouldn't be able to play it if you get a refund. Like,
yeah.
clearly, right?
But I did have to call. That was a number of years ago. So I believe the system is still the same. You still have to call them to get a refund. And they haven't been good about doing that kind of stuff. It's like they're not like Steam where you've only played it for 2 hours, fine, here's a refund, no problem,
Right.
no
Yeah.
questions asked. Sony doesn't have the same policy. In the past, it's been if you have the game installed, you own that game. They're not giving you a refund.
I mean, it's like they were like, yeah, you can totally get a refund. They didn't talk to Microsoft or Sony about it before they said they could give refunds, and then they were like, wait, we're not getting refunds? What's going on? Oh, Sony and Microsoft, you assholes. And then Sony's like, listen, we're not dealing with any of this. Get your game off the store. Get a refund if you want. Come back when it's playable.
Yeah, I mentioned before in the pre-show that Tam
Crazy.
from GameSpot had mentioned that it possibly was like avoiding, a class action lawsuit type situation. Sony does, I know for firsthand, like they're very careful with talking through everything with their legal department, which is why everything takes so long, maybe. But it's possible they were like, you know what, we can't, like, how can you accept even, let's say 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, call it more under the table. Like, yeah, you get a refund. We're not going to ask questions. But then suddenly if you get some like class action lawsuit that people were duped, that they knew, who knows? So they're probably like, you know what? Everybody could have one. Just go do it. And by the way, I've actually used a refund chatbot once. And it does, I'm looking at the page now. So it might actually work that way. But
For
I did
PlayStation?
it I accidentally I logged into my
Accidentally.
logged into my PS5. And I like forgot I had like a secondary burner account for Death Stranding a long time ago because I wanted to see if I could see my own items in the world or what it was like. And I was like trying to test like what is a different instance of the world like. And anyway, I accidentally logged in with a different email and bought a new. I was so excited to get it set up, but it was pretty easy to use I didn't have to call anybody. So
had you installed the game?
Well, this wasn't for the game. This was this was for a year of PlayStation Network.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it might be a little bit different, but
I don't know. Again, it's been a long time since I dealt with that.
Yeah.
Well, Sony has now officially obviously said that like you get a refund, no questions asked if you want it. So
one of the things that CD Projekt Red had said in that like note that they apologized in, or no, this was in their investor meeting, is they had said that with the pre-orders alone, they'd basically paid for the development of the game. So, like, how many of those pre-orders are about to go away, right?
Yeah.
Like, about to get refunded.
I think they'll be fine.
I'm sure they will. I mean, their stock price is tanking.
And just to clarify with everyone who might be confused or not, you do have to request a refund. You won't be just automatically refunded. If you're happy with the game and you're having a good time on your PS5 or your PS4 Pro, cool. You're good to keep playing the game. Not a problem. But you just cannot currently get the game from the store digitally to play it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can get a refund if you want. Yeah. Also, this does not affect Briar's Xbox playing of Cyberpunk. I know some people might be very scared that Briar will not be doing his playthrough. If you do not know, Briar, somehow I managed to make this happen. I don't really know how, but I'm very happy about it. Briar is going to be streaming Cyberpunk on a base Xbox.
Yeah, I had to buy a base Xbox from Sparty, who's in chat right now. I made him sign it too. So any problems I have with the game, I'm definitely going to blame Sparty for. He sent me a default, a faulty Xbox.
Interesting. Yeah, I was actually wondering what this means. Like, I thought both the Xbox version and PlayStation versions were, comparable. So problematic, right? So
yeah,
is Xbox just going to follow suit? Is that
they probably should, right? Like, again, you don't want to be the guy who doesn't give out refunds. Like the one guy.
I think they're giving out refunds.
I think it's easier to get refunds in Microsoft. Like, anyways, yeah.
Could be.
I've never tried.
Yeah, they're a lot more lenient to be like, yeah, you got problems with it, fine. Have your money back,
I'm going to wake up first thing in the morning, go get myself a physical copy for the Xbox to make sure I don't get denied the pleasure of 12 frames per second Cyberpunk running at a crispy 400p.
You're going to take some like nausea medication?
My plan is to pull an Eric's and play in
Windows mode.
Yeah, and actually just make the window really small.
You should get like an old laptop and like one of those older Elgato USB capture devices.
Oh, no, make it like super laggy?
Yeah.
Get a Hapog.
Yeah, and play on that.
Capture it in analog.
Yeah, that's the way.
Yeah, I think that's the way right
I
there.
have heard that. I think actually it was Destin was streaming it, and he had said on what is the name of his Xbox podcast on IGN?
Oh, Unlocked.
Yes, he had said that it was making viewers ill to watch the Xbox version. So I said, well, I can't do that. So I'm just going to put it in a really small window and just blow it up when there's something really good to watch on the screen. Because I don't want to make anybody vomit.
That's part of the experience, vomit.
Yeah.
We all vomit
It
together.
is if you play
That's
the story.
Full immersion right there.
Yeah.
Should we talk about some Destiny?
Yeah, there's a Donnie event.
Do it.
Baking cookies. Ava Levante is all smitten with us.
I was very happy with the names of the cookies. I thought it was very funny. I am prone to dad jokes though, so maybe I'm in the minority here.
What are some of your favorite cookie names, Briar?
My favorite one was the chocolate chip cookie. That was
That's
funny.
always good.
That is good.
You can actually make
That's a-
that as part of the cookbook, I believe.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I believe
yeah.
so. Yeah.
that's good.
Interesting.
Dawning crossover into real life.
I don't want to spoil the Twitter questions portion of the show, but I did see a few Twitter questions that were like, "Are you guys disappointed that the Dawning event is so light on content?" And my response, without spoiling the answer that we're going to give later, is no, because this is what it always is. Like it's the Dawning event is the same.
I did
every
not
year.
expect some like, oh my
Right.
god, it's SRL meets toboggan something like no, it's the same stuff. It's
Toboggan something.
I expected to bake
space
cookies
toboggans.
and baking some cookies.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Like I like how there's snow in the tower. I like how I can make tracks in the snow this year. I feel like that's new. I like the Christmas music. It's the holiday music that's playing in the tower.
Little
Like,
jingle.
It's frankly just a nice environment. It's like a festive environment. Like I'm
Yeah.
kind of like, hey, this is kind of nice. I like it. It's
So-
no, it's not
Especially,
a huge
especially
content
Christmas
drop,
is very different this year. I don't mind being in a snow place with my buds.
right?
Mhm.
So
To
in
be honest
terms
with you,
of
I found it hard to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
in terms of the actual like Dawning event, at this point I could definitely care less because it's basically it's more of the same as we all know. But they sunsetted my Aerentel, all right, and I do love my Aerentel, and I've been
Yeah.
looking, and I haven't found a replacement. And then here comes the Dawning event with a limited time special occasion of getting the Glacio, whatever it's called, the Glacio Chasm or something like that. which is-
Glaciocasm.
yeah, it's basically an Aerentel for updated Aerentel. You can get I believe I can get the same rolls that I had on the Aerentel.
It's really good too.
There, yeah,
Nothing
feels
says
good.
Happy Hanukkah like mapping people with a fusion rifle in the Crucible.
it's fantastic. I think I've grown addicted to it when I do play the Crucible, which isn't much nowadays, but when I do, I definitely like to map people with the fusion rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good fusion rifle and it's pretty. So you get like an Aerentil experience, but with a new coat of pretty paint.
Yeah,
How much work do you have to do to get it?
a lot, a lot.
Like
You have to pick up a box and you will be given it, and maybe your roll is good.
Yeah, no, like
Oh,
if
so
you
you're-
actually want to
you gotta
farm
get random rolls on this thing.
Yeah, if you want to farm for a particular version, or if I want to get my Aerentel in modern form, I don't know how many packages. It might be like hundreds. Because like
Or it could be one. Who knows?
it could be
Is there
one.
it's a random drop every time you turn in a package? Is that
Yeah,
what it
you
is?
have a chance of 3 different weapons. So you get the cold front, you get avalanche, which is the heavy machine gun, and then you get Glacio Chasm, the fusion rifle. And I opened 10 packages after doing a bunch of farming. And in order to get 10 packages, I felt like I had to bake at least 5 cookies for one package. So I'm like averaging 5 to 10 cookies to bake to get like 1 or 2 packages roughly. All right. So out of 10 packages, you can imagine that's a lot of bacon that's going on right there. A lot of collection resources, dark ether stuff and all that crap. And I did not get a single Glacio Chasm out of those 10 packages. They were all avalanches and like I think 2 cold fronts.
Okay.
So I was a little salty.
So
Yeah.
it is a reward that is going to take some doing to get unless you get lucky.
Yeah, and the thing is, we're probably not going to see. I think historically, Bungie's been playing it this way, where they'll introduce something like this, and then you probably won't see this exact archetype with this style of role for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Interesting.
if I want this, I'm gonna have to dive in and do this. I'm gonna have to get this role. I'm gonna have to commit.
In a week, are they gonna say we're reducing the number of cookies you need per box or something like that? Or you think
I don't
they
think
set
so.
it pretty good? You think
I
they
mean,
set
you
it up
got
pretty good at the
until-
beginning
Like the 15th, right?
of January?
Yeah. Yeah, and sorry, full disclosure, I'm like trying to monitor my mic because something is wrong, right? Some people in chat were saying it was really low, and I don't know why. So
Sounds good to
keep it-
me.
It's better
keep it
now,
as
yeah.
close as possible.
Yeah,
So
it's
let me
definitely
know.
better Yep. I have you like 200%
Excuse me.
in Discord.
Yeah, it's weird. But anyway, I was gonna say the avalanche for me, that was like the big thing. Like losing they just power capped so many things. And I was actually surprised. I was like, I like Xenophage and all, but sometimes I just want a solar, machine gun, right? And sure, there's the new one, but that's like practically feels like an SMG, the thermal erosion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually a really, I stressed it earlier to anybody I talked to, but really, I think that is the reason to play the Dawning, a legitimate gameplay reason, right? They power capped Avalanche. It is a hard-hitting solar LMG, and there are no other ones in the game that are legendary.
Yeah.
So if you want, to build into having something like that, it's like a must get and to get a decent roll. So it gives us something to do until the event's over. That's my main reason. Fusions, though, you were touching on it, like Glacioclasm. Like, do you want it just because you want to have it, right? Which is probably
I want the roll.
Are you using and in what situations are you using
PvP?
It's for PvP mostly.
Oh,
so
yeah.
not in PvE, right?
Well, actually, I got one that's decent for PvE. Let me open it up real quick so I can read the perks.
But do you use non-exotic fusions in PvE very often?
In PvE, it kind of depends. And actually, this one is pretty good because I believe I've got, Demolitionist on it. So I got Demolitionist and Field Prep on this. So it's actually
on what? On what gun?
On the fusion rifle, Glacioclasm. That was the one that dropped for me. You get basically guaranteed on your first package. And it's actually a pretty good roll for PvE. Not bad. I mean, Demolitions is always welcome when you're rolling in PvE or PvE, Yeah. But the roll that I'm looking for my Iron Cell that I really like is Under Pressure, High Impact Reserves, Projection Fuse, and I have Torch HS3 for the sight. I think there's a better sight that you can get on the Glacioclasm. So just it's basically the same archetype. I mean, like very close to the same gun. It's even void as well. So I really like the feel of that gun. I'm more of a like a preemptive fusion rifle player. So I like or a predictive fusion rifle player. I'll predict where people are going to land and then time the charges up with that, as opposed to being reactionary. Like someone's rushing me, I'll hit them with a VOOP or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see for PvP. And by the way, I don't doubt, I think some people probably really like fusions. I only asked because, I really have always loved fusions, but I've just noticed for PvE, especially ever since Loaded Question now, not being there anymore. And even before that, I was like, I don't know. I don't really pop them on. Like, why wouldn't you put on an SMG? I mean, I guess part of it is like, if you want to make some Warmind cells, we need a Warmind fusion at this point or something.
Fusions are fun.
Yeah, they are fun. They're totally fun. I feel like you run out of ammo or the range isn't quite there sometimes. In PvE, that's all.
In PvE.
Sure. In PvE, it's always an ammo issue for me. I always run out of ammo with those things.
Or sometimes just charge time on bigger enemies. You're like, oh gosh, like I need to keep consistent damage versus this like reload charge time between. But
yeah,
I don't know if you guys.
I don't know with PvE, like I end up rolling around with different options all the time with PvE. I go from like the grenade launchers, like I'm still using Martyr's Retribution.
Oh really?
Martyr's Retribution because I can make Warmind cells with the Wrath of Rasputin or whatever crap. That allows you to get the solar explosions to make Warmind cells. So I'll like roll between that or Cloud Strike or a fusion rifle because there's always Lament or Fallen Guillotine.
Yeah.
Anytime you're struggling with something, be like, I'll just whip out this sword.
Yeah.
Excuse me while I whip this
I need to give it another try. I love fusions. I feel like I've just, gravitated away from them. And I think that was
use Bastion. You'll have a good time.
Well, yeah, it's that's a good point. I haven't really used that in PvE. Are you being serious? Like you like in PvE?
I've used it in PvE before. I feel like the damage is actually not terrible.
It's probably pretty good. So
probably melts shielded enemies.
Yeah.
I
just use Fourth Horseman though if I'm gonna fill that slot. So
Fourth Horseman's good.
Seriously, like I love
fun.
Fourth Horseman. With the catalyst, this is just insane. So
well, I think that's one of the things that's happening right now in just the sandbox is there's so many great options for PvE across the board. Like I don't. In the past, we've kind of been in situations where you have to have this, this, and this, and then that's like your loadout. Now it just feels like there's so many options for different stuff.
It's like that's a dream come true, like being able to play with whatever you want, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really happy with that. I know a lot of people were bummed about, like Mountaintop leaving or being power cap, that is, for PvE. But I was just like, aren't you tired of using like Falling Guillotine, Mountaintop, and they're like, no, because the DPS is awesome. And I'm like, I just can't see doing that personally. I love more where it's at now. The idea of changing the mods up, you can change your play style up. I mean, Lament, brings in a different question, obviously, like you said, of that is kind of the go-to when you're having trouble. But I think for me, actually, mods, the more I use them, like, I think we need a lot more mods. Like, I think Dawning would have been a great event to have a new mod, that. Anything that mixes up the gameplay and experimenting with your builds right now. And I feel like it's an easy way now to pop a mod on too.
Yeah.
So I think they could do Warmind cells really open the door. I think a lot of people, I think, refer to them as OP sometimes, but I'm like, actually, I don't know. There's so much fun, and sure, they can be OP versus other mods, but I think as we introduce more of that into the world, it gets really fun to pop on like, these new mods.
I agree.
That are not just anti-barrier.
Yeah, for sure.
Class of weapon.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with the Dawning event, if Glacio Chasm wasn't in it, I'd be pretty disappointed. Just in, like, personally, I'd be like, it's not really something. I mean, it's basically an Eververse event.
Yeah, it's a.
I'll say that I do like the thing that they're doing with the ship.
Oh,
I
right.
think that's pretty cool, like leveling up the ship, because now it also has you can
Jets.
change the visual effect behind the ship, which is cool. So there's a little bit of extra customization for the ship.
Yeah.
So that's
I was
cool.
actually confused about this. So with the Sparrow, I was like, right off the bat, I was able to get the Sparrow, and then get an upgrade for the Sparrow. So the Sparrow was an exotic Sparrow, but it dropped at 100 speed. But like right away, I was able to just like get this other package and get an upgrade to make it 160 speed, which is, the regular speed for exotic sparrows. How does the ship work?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Not even
You get
attempt
the
it.
ship. You get the ship, and then you when you do your like Dawning Spirit, it's part of that quest. Once you generate enough Dawning Spirit, you get the upgrade shader, and then I think you just keep upgrading it through the
through Eva,
through the quest, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, there's several quest lines you have to follow through, and I assumed some cosmetic stuff drops from all that. Yeah.
I do want to get that mini Sparrow. Is the only way to get the mini Sparrow through the Eververse store?
I believe so.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to be using Bright Dust for that because I do want it.
I plan on buying that too.
Yeah. I've been rocking the other mini Sparrow for, I don't know, 2 years now.
Yep.
And, it'd be nice to freshen things up.
Have options. Small one, small two. Yeah.
All right. In case I crashed the first one, I got the second mini Sparrow that I look ridiculous on.
There you go. Perfect.
The best is a Titan on that thing, to be honest.
Yeah. Looking all enormous.
Yeah.
Have any of you guys played Destiny today since the hotfix?
I did not.
I did play Destiny today, but I played it on an Xbox, not on PC.
So, question?
Yes, indeed. So I loaded up Destiny, ready to have a jolly good time with beautiful frames and wonderful optimization. And then when I got in, I noticed that my frames in the tower were dropping to like 50. Now, the Dawning tree does drop people's frames, but my frames have never gotten that low in Destiny ever. And it was fine before this hotfix. So I was talking about it. Look, I saw a couple people talking about it on Twitter, like, oh, has anyone had really bad frames since the patch? And I was like, this happens sometimes. People have like different performance issues. Maybe it's, just not a thing. But I put out a tweet asking people if they have experienced frame rate issues. Now, this is PC specifically. It's not console. And I've heard a lot of people saying frames are all over the place, was messing with my PC, thought it was broken. I managed to get it manageable, but it's still really bad. Loads of people are having frame rate issues on PC. And I've done a bunch of things because there's been a couple things that people said to try and fix it. I've downloaded the most recent NVIDIA patch, didn't do anything. I've also went through and verified the game in Steam. That made it slightly better, but it's still very bad. I also cleared the cache in the NVIDIA NV_cache. Cleared that out because sometimes that can help with a lot of stuttering in games. Nothing has helped, and it is really bad. It's all over the place. It's going super high and it's dropping significantly lower than I've ever seen.
This is similar to what we were hearing last week from players on the last gen consoles, the PS4 and Xbox One, when the patch dropped for the next gen update. So I wonder if there's some new piece of code that got added for that next gen update and now has gotten into PC as well.
I had a weird thing happen when I let's see, it was after Cyberpunk and then the patch came out and all that. I loaded up Destiny and it defaulted to 4K. I play on a 1080p monitor, so it shouldn't even.
Well, that sounds like you just won.
I was like,
"Oh my god,
what is
Destiny just upgraded my monitor."
I was like, "What is up with the mouse?" Yeah, the mouse DPI was way off. I was like, "What the hell is going on here?" And then I looked, and there was like a visual change. It's subtle, obviously, because like it's 4K but down res to 1080p because of whatever it decided to think it wanted to do. And I definitely didn't like mess with any settings, so I don't know why it defaulted to that after that patch. And I don't know how many other video settings might have just been like flipped or adjusted or something because of that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. So if you're out there and you're like, my game's being weird, what's going on? It isn't just you. Lots of people are experiencing it. Your computer is dying. I mean, maybe your computer is dying. Who knows? But there's lots of people. Lots of people are having the exact same issue, and it's never been. I've never ever played Destiny on PC and been in a game and thought, "Holy crap, I can't play this." I switched to PS5 because it was just dipping constantly. So as in PvP, I'd get into a fight, it would drop to 30 FPS. 30. That's never happened before.
Wow, that is low. Yeah, I'm in the tower right now on PC, and I'm seeing like low frame rates for Destiny on my PC.
What are you getting?
Like I just saw 53, 52. That's unusual for this PC.
Yeah, that's definitely not normal. So I think even if you aren't getting super low, I think you will notice for sure a dip in your frame rate.
I think most did they add anything like graphically?
The snow.
No, I mean like to the engine.
I don't think so. I did send a message to Dylan letting him know in case he didn't know. So he said he's gonna bring it up to people and see if they're seeing a bunch of reports of the same thing. But
yeah, they did. Even was it last week that they said, please, post on this Bungie forum thread to let us know like what are your settings. So definitely encourage everybody, if you haven't done that and you're having problems, like because there's so many different configurations and maybe they find something's going on. But yeah, I personally feel like going back to just the launch of Beyond Light, I feel like maybe partially because of stasis, but I just feel like overall performance kind of took a hit. It is full disclosure harder for me to judge because I'm streaming from one PC, but like kind of like Briar was saying, like we look at our frame rate all the time, and I'm definitely seeing it lower.
I actually never look at my frame rate in Destiny anymore because I just know it's good.
It works.
I don't have that luxury, so I'm usually between like somewhere between 60 to 90.
Oh wow,
it feels like it's but that's normal for me. As long as it's above 60, because like with streaming, you're not going to see any difference.
I definitely notice a hit to frames.
Seen more dips.
I've noticed a hit to frames with Beyond Light for sure. And that was with
and
the
this
1080
patch
Ti.
seems to
That's
like if it seems like people were like, it was been bad after Beyond Light, but after this recent patch is even worse. So it does seem like it is quite a widespread issue.
Maybe they were trying to tank frames in preparation for trials.
It's stasis.
Yeah.
It's literally stasis in your frames.
It's stasis in your frames.
Thanks, darkness.
They want to just prepare it so people can have a rough darkness experience with when they jump into trials tomorrow. That's happening tomorrow, right? Is it delayed?
No, it's happening. And I should also say that I've looked at frame rates before the NVIDIA patch and after the NVIDIA patch, and
Today's
it's no
NVIDIA
different.
patch?
Yep. It makes it's no different at all.
I gotta turn off Destiny. I just started farming loot boxes. Just gonna turn it off.
Checking out.
Anybody want to take bets? Anybody want to take bets
70
whether or not
to 80 on the Cosmodrome?
Anybody want to take bets on whether or not Trials is getting delayed again by, say, 10
I think
a.m.?
we would know.
10 a.m. tomorrow.
They
delayed
it. They canceled Friday last
Yeah.
time.
Did it?
It was,
okay.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
like
the
10
morning. I
minutes
was
after.
like, okay, let's go.
Are they on vacation?
Yeah,
I mean,
kind of.
that's
But
it, so.
the good news is people have access to their workstation at home fully because of everyone's working from home. So
Oh, man,
if
they might
something
be-
burns,
They might be baking actual cookies and then baking cookies in the game and then being like, oh, crap, something broke in the game.
I mean, at some point this season, they're going to have to release Trials, even if it's in a broken state, because if they don't, like, the amount of shit they'll get from the community is bigger than the amount of shit they'd get from not releasing it, right? Like, they have to release it at some point because they promised it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Maybe
a tough
not.
situation. I mean, yeah, it's not like they know these bugs exist, and then, I mean, presumably, right? Because they're game breaking, so they have to pull it. I feel like they've weeded out some of the crazier stuff that was affected by stasis, I guess, and even like the recent, they patched the using Salvation's grip, right, to like wedge yourself out of a zone in the raid even. So I think they've just found some stuff like that they probably knew was a possibility. I doubt they had assumed that Trials was going to get broken, but or PvP in that way. But I don't know. I think it'll be okay by tomorrow. Because I mean, I feel like it's been so bad the last few weeks that, like, okay, this has been a pretty bad situation that it probably got a lot of attention. So it feels like we'll probably be okay now, and all hail, Trials will be back.
It's quite a possibility, yeah.
Def does not seem to have a lot of faith on this one.
Given the track record,
It's like, yeah, it is true. Since Beyond Light, very poor percentage chance that this Trials is going to be launching, but the broader scope of things. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe Sony will pull it from the store.
Yeah, they're going to yank Trials from the store. Just for some.
With
They
the
might
free
yank
version.
Trials from the store, but Luke Smith is going to yank all your supers from your
Yeah.
From your Guardian.
Great
nice
segue.
segue.
I didn't read this
Very
article.
nice.
Hit me with the details on this.
Read that. You could read the full things, Briar, because it's like a couple sentences from Luke.
Okay, I have it open here.
Perfect. You
Let me
read
just
the
find
Luke.
it the specific part. All right, so he said, we only want to have one central system for supers. I'm reading from the Polygon article where they go over it, so I might have to skip over a couple of parts. I could totally imagine it like Luke's Fantasy Land. All the supers using the same system. That sounds awesome. But also the supers that we have in the game would be an edited list. It would be something that's edited toward more identity than what we have today. The classes, Hunter, Warlock, and Titan, are kind of homogenous. And he noted that revisiting the super system for these classes would provide a chance to hone them. In pre-Taken King era of Destiny, Smith said, Bungie had created a nice balance between each class. Back then, Titans had the powerful bubble, which prevented damage and buffed party members, but it was entirely immobile. Titans also had Fist of Havoc, which let them perform a single slam of damage to shut down a group of enemies. Titans didn't have a roaming super like they have now, where they can run around the map and mess people up for 30 seconds or so. That was first unlocked in Taken King. The immobile battle arena of the bubble and the oh shit button of Fist of Havoc gave Titans a unique identity, just like Warlock's self-resurrection ability and Hunter's mobile supers. As classes have gotten new supers over the years, during the Taken King, Forsaken, and Beyond Light, there's been less of a reason to bring multiple different classes to a raid or Nightfall. So if Bungie ends up remaking old supers in the heavily customizable stasis system, Smith wants to use the framework to pare down and some of the classes bloat and hone the identity of each ability set. It's much easier for me to look at Nova Bomb and say Nova Bomb is like an IP defining, said Smith. It's an IP defining super. Get rid of Nova Warp. But in this case, Smith is talking about a classic Warlock ability, Nova Bomb, and comparing it to a mediocre PvP only super, Nova Warp. Cutting Nova Warp might hurt some fans, but it's generally pretty safe, more like Nova Bomb than Nova Warp. For other subclasses, though, the decision wouldn't be as easy. Within the Solar Warlock, there are two really distinct fantasies that don't work together at all, said Smith. Currently, Solar Warlocks can drop a Well of Radiance at their feet, which heals allies and buffs their damage, but a different tree of Solar Warlock lets the class fly around in the sky, raining hellfire down from a flaming sword. Same subclass, different trees, very different use cases. And unlike Nova Warp versus Nova Bomb, both have an identity worth preserving. In order to transition Solar Warlock to the modular stasis system, Bungie would need to pick one of these playstyles to align the identity of the subclass, potentially alienating people who like the benched playstyle. I think that's the relevant stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say he had one other sort of shortened version of it too on Reddit that he posted yesterday, where he says, on a long enough time horizon, it sure would be sweet to have all of the supers in Destiny use the same system. The stasis system is very cool and we like it. It's got more agency, flexibility, and freedom than the Destiny 2 and Forsaken system with their interlocked perks. Feels more like Destiny 1 in terms of agency. I like that much more. From a thematic creative perspective, it sure would be sweet if the classes had strong gameplay identities instead of some of the homogeny that has steadily emerged. No plans to look at class homogeny right now. There are many other things to focus on. So, yeah,
so this is pie in the sky stuff. This isn't something he's planning to do right now. Yeah, it's just him like thinking theoretically about stuff they might do in the future. So no reason to panic here.
Yeah, this is like 3 years in the future type of stuff, not like what's already planned
this
for
is
next
like,
year.
This is not something that it's spitballing for sure. It's also a reason probably why you don't see a lot of developers spitball, because people blow up hearing what they're thinking. And I understand Luke's thought behind this. Obviously, deleting supers, you hear Bungie's deleting supers, sounds really, really bad. And it wouldn't be great.
Headlines have to be short and get clicks, right?
Yeah. But the reasoning behind it of wanting each of the classes to feel unique, to like really speak to a very specific player fantasy, like you are a warlock because of this, you are a hunter because of this, like for it to be a very specific feeling that the classes evoke from you. So I understand why he's thinking about that, because classes currently don't have much of an identity, really. They really don't. There's not a whole lot of difference between all of them. I think we could see that when we do like our day one raid and we're like, we don't have a Titan. Normally we would want to have a Titan, a Warlock, and Hunters and have
certainly
it pretty evenly
Destiny
split.
1.
Yeah.
Exactly. Whereas now you're kind of just like, I don't know, just bring whatever. Doesn't really matter. So I do understand the reasoning behind why they would want to do that. But definitely not happening anytime soon.
It's always funny to me because, and by the way, if you're upset by some of these comments, I'm not laughing at you, but just the general idea of like, they already mentioned this a long time ago that, this was a test. Yeah, this was a test and, launching stasis. And we also basically, it was a wink and a nod. I think that this is the direction it's going to go anyway. But they wanted to take feedback. And so he's just like expanding on that of like, hey, like we want all that. It seems like people really like the fragments and aspects, like general systems, and we already know it wants to go that way. But as soon as like they, he makes a few comments about imagine a world where we get rid of Nova Warp or whatever. It's like everybody freaks out. Like and to tack onto that, like I don't know, don't we get? I'm always all for, it's touchy, like taking something out of the game to try something new. I think it's fine, especially with a game that's like 7 years old.
I think
basically.
I think that's the key point right there is how long do you want to play with these same fucking supers?
Yeah.
Like, come on, let's change a little bit.
See, I look at it as him addressing the concern or like the discussion of how do you take our current supers and bring them into like the stasis format? Because people are now saying, well, I want like, I want my golden gun and I want my other stuff brought into this like stasis format. And he's saying, well, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to probably give up some stuff to make it more of a streamlined, focused type of super experience.
Otherwise, you'd have like 7 of them.
Yeah, exactly. And like it would get really confusing. Like he said, swapping between Dawnblade versus the giant pool of piss.
Yeah.
Well, Radiance.
His words,
All
not
right.
ours.
Yeah. Yeah. Luke's words. Like,
Yeah,
I think that's what he's mostly addressing there is that, it's either keep the system somewhat the way it is now if you want all the variety in there for those supers versus like really trimming it down to streamline it for this the new stasis type
yeah.
of
And
method.
it's tough, and I do understand where people are coming from, where they're saying that, well, we've heard Luke like talk about stuff before, and then it's been put in the game shortly after, so that's why when Luke was talking about this, people are freaking out, thinking that it's literally happening right now, or that they're working on making it happen now, and I totally understand that, but it's. I don't think you need to worry right now. I think giving feedback is good. And this is really something that kind of shows me, which I said to Briar earlier. Well, everyone, but Briar was like, explain, please. This is an indication of Bungie, I think, knows what they want Destiny to be. But in terms of putting those changes into the game to make it the game that they're kind of wanting to turn it into, a lot of stuff would have to change, like that, like making all of the subclass systems be that stasis system and really defining the player fantasy and making the classes individual. It's something that would have to be a big change to really have you feeling those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think people just need to be careful too, to like, this is stasis tier phase 1, it's like,
Right.
we don't know where it's really headed ultimately and what phase 2, would look like of it and whatever
And
they
we
have in
know
mind
that we're
for the
getting
future.
like fragments and aspects throughout this. Well, we're definitely getting fragments throughout each season. So who knows what stasis is going to be like in terms of options and variety when we get to, next year.
Mm-hmm.
An overreaction of this too is clearly somebody who didn't read the article, because if you had read the article, like it's very obvious that he's talking about this in theoretical terms, long term, not like
Next season.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's as I saw it was coming up in chat, like there's a general panic over taking anything out of the game because they did take
Right.
a lot of weapons out of the game through the power cap process, and then you have Avalanche come back, for example, and then I'm actually super excited that I can get it back. But then there's this discussion of like, should I really have to earn it back? Like, it's the same weapon. You just,
Mhm.
you
Welcome to my thought process for the last 3 years.
But that's neither here nor there with like classes and supers, but there's a feeling right now of stripping stuff out of the game and making it thinner. And I think that was the thread that it touched on a little too close, was like, wait, don't make the game any thinner right now. We got to make, whatever. So again, I don't think that's the intent, but if you talk about it, but remember, and I do, I think maybe somebody said it even earlier, but like, be careful and thoughtful with your responses, because this is the type of stuff that makes, Bungie and team and probably Luke like regret even saying anything or taking the interview. And so if, we've also had leaks as well, people invited to talk about this stuff. And I do feel like we're already in a situation where that affected us for the next year of how much they really want to say. So anyway, it's just an encouragement for the community, like try to be as objective as possible. Like, like Watts was saying, the feedback is great, but don't just dump on it. Be like, hey, you're right. Totally get what you're thinking. Would love to see new stuff, but here's why I love this super. Focus on detailed information, not just saying don't take away Nova Warp. Say, why do you love Nova Warp so much that if it were gone, and make that an awesome conversation, because that's tough stuff that might make it through to them. They're like, that's a really good point, versus just don't take this away from me, so
my feedback would be actually different. I just don't want them spending their time rejiggering these subclasses again, right? It's like they're already kind of rejiggered from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2, and then they got like another look when Shadowkeep came out. Is that when it happened? When the old subclasses
they were doing
kind of
seasons. They were doing seasons where it was like, solar season.
Oh yeah, season. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's like, how many times are we going to look at these subclasses? Why don't we just, like, narratively, you can very easily split them down the middle. Like, these are the old, Traveler subclasses. These are the new Darkness subclasses. They look different because they come from different places. They come from different, sources. So, like, to me, it's like, it's easy to explain why they're different. Why spend all this time trying to switch up the old subclasses when you could just be working on brand new subclasses? You know, I'd much rather see brand new darkness subclasses. Like Bungie really like focus on new stuff instead of rehashing old ground again.
Yeah,
I think it's also worth thinking about, like, say if this is something that they do want to do, but it's like a 3-year thing kind of away. And if we're following the same thinking that's all but been confirmed of new darkness subclasses, are people then less upset if you have 3 darkness subclasses, 3 light subclasses, and they're all using the same system and have been refined to be this thing? Is that then easier to digest with, hey, we're taking away a super, but you're getting like these new supers as part of a new subclass? I don't know. Maybe that would be
maybe we get cut off from the light, and then we don't have access to the 3 old supers, but we have the 3 darkness supers for like 2 years, and then somehow story-wise we get reunited and we get those 3 old supers back, but in different ways.
In many ways, yeah.
Yeah, they could.
Could happen.
But I think I would feel more like better about that personally if I'm like, oh, I have 3 darkness subclasses and supers to choose from, and I have 3 light ones to choose from, and they're all like customizable and unlockable with aspects and fragments and all that stuff.
What if you're like a Nova Warp main?
It's gotta hurt if you're a Nova Warp main and they're like, well,
Chaos
this super's
main.
kind of trash. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the thing where it's not like, you know, he had exclusively said you won't be able to do something like that even maybe, right? And, you know, with mods and other things, like, again, in the idea of taking something away, I think we're moving in a direction where in a little bit like Destiny 1, you had so many different perks and little things to choose from within the tree that you could kind of customize. And I think that's why I actually really like the darkness, you know, setup, at least with stasis, even if I want to see a lot more within there. I think it feels great. And I would love to see that in, you know, the other supers, because like when I go back to Goldie, it's great, but I don't really think about it too much. I'm like, do I want a 6-shooter or not? You know, it's like, I don't think as much as I think about, you know, like fragments right now. I really like some of my setups, getting my super back, shattering crystals. And
in discussions like this, it really makes sense then to have a Destiny 3. And I know Destiny 3 is not happening, never. They've already confirmed 100%, but this is where it makes sense to have like that clear cut delineation between this is what Destiny 2's experience was, and now we have Destiny 3 with all this new stuff. Because it's kind of like if you are a major Overwatch fan or something, and then they just start yanking characters out of there suddenly. You'd be like, but that was my main character. I was an Overwatch main, and now it's gone, and there's no version of the game I can go back to and play it. Like,
how do they do this? I know they have like big like cataclysm events in like World of Warcraft and MMOs. I wish Patrick were here for this episode because he'd know the answer to this right off the bat. But how do they do that? And do they actually like remap out like character abilities when those type of like cataclysmic events happen? Do they take that as a chance to really like change like the way that, because there's a lot of characters, there's a lot of different classes in MMO. So do they actually change those abilities at those points, or do they do them over time?
I was thinking more about how do they approach like changing these subclasses, but I don't want to skip past your question.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what they do.
It seems like stuff like this needs to be able to happen, right? It's like if the developers really want to move a game forward, you can't be locked into things that are 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. You have to be able to let that stuff loose. And this is different than sunsetting weapons, because this is like a change to the character. So they have to make this happen narratively. They need to make this happen like smoothly for players. They need to make it so players don't feel like they're losing stuff. That things are just evolving.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the best case scenario is like, which is probably not gonna happen, but like an actual full swap that, you know, all the light subclasses change at once, that you don't one by one go through them, because then it starts to feel really weird. But perfect world, I think that's it. Everything under the sun on the light side gets the full upgrade. It gets, I don't know if it's going to be fragments and aspects by then, but it gets just the full upgrade. And you're like, awesome. I have some of the old, I have some new, and I'm mixing it up. We've got brand new mod systems. Awesome. I think that's great. You know, it would just be such a new fresh coat of paint, so much to try. But obviously it feels to me like that's like pipe dreamy, like a lot of work at once. So to me, it feels like Still, though, you need to hot swap it. So in other words, instead of pulling out solar subclass, because instead of the negative way to look at it, like the darkness has consumed, your solar blessing, instead of looking at it that way, now it's like, well, crap, I don't have my Celestial Nighthawk and Goldie anymore. Like, that's crazy. How am I going to get through this lost sector?
All those exotics.
Yeah, think about that. So instead of it being that, I look at the light side of it, which is say, make it a hot swap, and that the Traveler actually, whatever, responds and casts a solar blessing across the entire, universe for this period of time. And you're picking up solar orbs everywhere, and you're powering up your new solar, etc. And then to me, that could be super exciting in a way to do it, but it has to be a hot swap. I think if you get rid of it for a period of time, you're going to see the same reaction you're already seeing with pulling out just one of those, let alone.
So what if we just land in the tower one day, we look up and the Traveler just lights the fuck up, gets out of town, and also we're like, oh, well, I don't have a golden gun anymore because I don't have access to the light.
Yeah.
Because he's gone.
I actually think some really good feedback people could give, because to me, what Bungie has done recently, and for a while actually, kind of tells me that they want things to have an identity, right? They want Void, Solar, and Arc to have an identity. I think that's ultimately why we saw certain weapons being tied to certain elements, because they were trying to give them an identity. And I think they want different classes to also have an identity. So I think what's some really good feedback to give, if you just want to think about it for a bit, is what could Bungie do for you personally that would make you feel more like, I'm a hunter, your power fantasy is really being lived out, and you can do all that. I think that would be good feedback, because it kind of seems to me that that's what they're wanting to do in general, is give more identity to all the things in the game.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think we've had this conversation. I think it needs to be more holistic to the idea, the narrative, the identity, like you're saying, that Solar should work across a lot of things similarly. So we've talked about the idea, right, that if you overload someone with enough solar bullets or whatever, that they catch on fire in the way that you get frozen with stasis, or it leaves a pool of fire on the ground or whatever. And we don't have that with certainly the super classes, let alone the element period. And so maybe an overwork on the whole there, that's where it becomes exciting, because it is a little weird when you think about it. It's like your supers and your nades, like you throw that down, that'll leave a burning sensation, and where if you shoot somebody with like solar stuff, usually you don't get like some effect like that. So I think that's the right direction. To me, that's exciting.
The base stats I think would work real well too. It's like in other games that don't have the PvP component, they're allowed to make differences. Like, the big, huge guy has more health, but can't run as fast as the small guy who can jump around and be real speedy, right? So, like, if the run speed of the Hunter and the Titan was different, but also the Titan could take more damage, that would definitely make them feel different. But, like, balancing that in the Crucible would be rough.
Yeah.
Just not Destiny.
Well, that's why we also need split tuning as well, though, for just that reason. You have to worry about
even then, though.
Stuff in
that's
PvE.
So beyond split tuning, because that's getting away from. They want the game to feel the same in PvP and PvE, whereas like you can't have run speed be different in PvE and PvP.
Yeah,
why not? I mean, I'm not vouching for it, but why not?
They want to make Overwatch
because that's what they've stated in the past, is they want the game to feel the same in both.
Yeah, I maybe it's an overreaction for me. I just worry about that being the philosophy more, because I don't know, I guess I still look to, and I know Destiny will never be this, but Valorant now, and certainly Overwatch, and they're so developed in the PvP realm, even if not perfect in their own ways. And I feel like the trying to keep it so close to PvE and the intuitive nature, kind of like you're getting at, that look, if Titans are, a little slower, but they have this other thing that offsets it, that should carry across. But at the same time, it might make things so difficult I feel like it's been so difficult for so many years to keep that balance, and across the weapons too, especially, is where it really.
So maybe it's just time to drop it. Look, the Crucible is never going to be balanced. It's just not going to happen. Go in there if you want to have some fun.
Yeah,
but it's not. We're tuning the balance of this game for PvE.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying tune PvP very specifically, separately, and try to. And I know that's way easier said than done. Yeah, but give up on the idea that even the weapons always have to work, precisely, the same way or whatever. So I don't know. It's complex. You also look back on, I forget if it was Bungie talking about it or just people in general, but Destiny is a crazy complex, difficult game. It's way more complex than I think anybody knows. And
especially people who try to compete with it.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking about is Avengers, and even you see something as AAA as Cyberpunk come out with like its systems.
Yeah, that's the other thing too.
How complex it is.
Like Destiny technically works right now, and there's a lot of people that play Destiny like right now. And when you start messing with a bunch of those things, like that can cause a lot of significant ripples. So
Can you?
That the flip side of it is they don't necessarily want to like dramatically change everything either, because what they got is working right now. They obviously want to innovate and evolve and all that, but like there's going to be caution. Destiny
it's really
works,
tough.
so they're going to be cautious about breaking things.
Yeah,
it's super tough, man. Because like Destiny has been every game at every point during its life cycle.
Right.
So every player plays Destiny for a different reason for the most part. So if they're trying to really hone in on Destiny being like a specific game or becoming this like MMORPG action game, it will probably alienate a lot of people. So I think that's something that they probably think about all the time. Like, yeah, we want to have classes more meaningful and elements be more meaningful, but how much are we going to lose by making the changes to make that happen? And ultimately, it might just be we don't make those changes because the risk is too high.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I hear all the time from PvP folks that they feel alienated. And is that, because I don't play it as much, I'm not as in tune. Like, Watts, do you feel like Beyond Light possibly alienated them more? Or is that just something I heard? Because I feel like I
am not in the PvP community at all. All I know is what I experienced.
Such a PvP god.
I love Crucible right now. I'm having a blast in Crucible, and I love Stasis in Crucible, which I think is not the opinion of most people.
Consensus.
So
it's not the opinion of the people who ask us questions on Twitter.
All right, let's go.
It's not the opinion of most folks.
But yeah, moving past that, I had one other quick thought as a hypothetical, and like this is all I was thinking about, but maybe I've got it totally wrong, right? But like, look at Hawkmoon, right? Like, I don't know. I guess I kind of like the original Hawkmoon, the idea that it had the RNG bullet on it. Like, it was just kind of fun, but it doesn't really work so well for PvP. So, like, in other words, do we like the new thing better where the last bullet does a ton of damage? Or did we like RNG? And if so, why can't we just have Hawkmoon and then PvE does the RNG? And they say, well, in PvP, it is just going to do like a certain amount of damage. And that's it on the last bullet.
Yeah.
Like, is that such a confusing world? Or is it just me?
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning more towards original OG Hawkmoon at this point. I used it again, Hawkmoon, recently, and I was like, if you're not stacking those 6 shots and then you're hitting someone, like, you're immediately having to swap because you're not going to reload after that first tap. That, like, and getting a guaranteed 6 crits every single time to get that headshot, like, for 8 bullets in the magazine, like. I don't know. With the original Hawkmoon, you could count how many times you heard the perk go off.
Yeah.
So you could know if you had gone through all 3 in the magazine. Yeah.
I don't know. True Vanguard was on the show last week, and he hated the fact that there was RNG in bullets, like in power,
in PvP.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't care about PvE though. That's all I was trying to illustrate there, right? Like, whether it's better or not, I don't know. I haven't used it enough to but I kind of agree with Teft in the sentiment.
I was wondering last week if you're changing the gun that fundamentally, why are you even calling it Hawkmoon? Like, why even keep the art and keep the name? Like, it's not the same gun.
It's like Crowmoon.
Crowmoon? Like, they're going to bring back Icebreaker at some point, right? Because they're bringing back everything. So, and it's not going to be the same gun. It's not going to have the regenerating bullets because they've already learned from Destiny 1 that just breaks everything. So, why even bring it back? Because they're going to change it enough that it doesn't do the thing that it was known to do.
I'm just cracking up. Could you imagine if like the Crowmoon existed, but like on that last shot you hear like ah, like just this horribly like awkward, like it's like just way out of place. Maybe for the next Halloween event.
Fraud moon.
That'd be a funny April Fool's. do something like that in the guns. Anyway,
Should we do some Twitter questions?
Sure.
probably.
Sure.
I don't think there was really anything
Sparty for you, who's sending me a faulty Xbox. Did you? So I gotta actually tell this story real quick because Sparty for you actually came up big for me.
Just tell the full story.
So Watts thought it'd be hilarious to challenge me on Twitter to play the Xbox One base version, like launch console, the least powerful Xbox One version of Cyberpunk on a stream. And I thought it was pretty funny too. So I attempted to make it happen. And like my first thought was just go to like the used game store down the street, pick up a Xbox, which I figured would be a dime a dozen, considering that there's an Xbox One S, there's an Xbox One X. I literally just sold mine over the summer. Anyhow, I wish I hadn't. But I went there and they didn't have any. So I was like, oh, well, that's weird. Maybe, whatever. So I went to GameStop thinking they have refurbished ones there. I'm going to pay for it. No, they don't have it. I said, well, do any other stores have them? And he didn't even have to look at his computer. He's like, no, nobody's got any Xboxes, man.
Wow. At this point, I do.
Yeah. So I look on the app. Like I went out to the store. I'm like, this guy is either full of shit or like, how can there be no launch Xbox One consoles? There's millions of these things. But no, there's none of those. There's no PS4s around either.
Oh.
Like you can't go to Best Buy, you can't go to GameStop and just buy a video game console because everybody's at home and wants to play video games. They're just not available. So I went to Craigslist, and on Craigslist they cost $200. I was like, oh my God, $200 for an Xbox One launch console?
I'll sell you one for $200. Yeah.
Too late. I just bought one for $200.
Dang it, Sparty.
I was shocked. So I'll be playing some Cyberpunk and then promptly selling Sparty's Xbox on Craigslist for $200.
Yeah. So we look forward to that stream, everybody. That is going to be a blast.
And thank you, Sparty, for doing that. He had to go through a lot of trouble to get things shipped out and everything.
No, thanks, Sparty.
Sparty says, with the way special is now in PvP, would Icebreaker, my favorite exotic since I got it in Crota, have a place in the game? Would you like to see it come back, or would it break PvE too much?
I think PvE is the issue, right?
Yeah. Well, people didn't like it in PvP too. Remember when they started restricting special ammo? People were using Icebreaker in PvP all the time.
Yeah,
that was literally the only reason.
There.
That was the only reason. Is that like special?
So I think
ammo
would be okay
limited.
now. That there's like so much special everywhere. You pick up 3 bullets every time you pick up special. So I think that would be fine. Yeah, I think Icebreaker is always tough. At least if it works exactly like it did in D1 with just bullets coming back, because it encouraged people to sit in the back of any encounter and just sit there shooting Icebreaker at a crit point until boss was dead, which makes things very difficult to create when you're creating around that. So I don't know if Icebreaker will come back.
I think
they do a better job, especially in strikes, to not give you those kind of places to just kind of chill out.
Yeah.
And pot shot at the boss. Like the strikes are designed in a way where I remember specifically, I think it was on Venus. There was that one boss. It was one of those floating Vex mind things where you could literally like get into like the rafters or something, like get into a spot where you could shoot him, but he can shoot you, and just sit there with the Icebreaker for 10 minutes and pop him.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it'd be cool if they figured out a different way to create that synergy, like maybe something to do with kinetic crits or kinetic kills. Kinetic kills could tie to recharging the Icebreaker engine or synapse or protocol, whatever crap, and then it would then provide like stacks of regeneration or what's the perk that gives ammo? Reconstruction. Maybe you could proc reconstruction without ammo on kinetic kills or kinetic precision kills or something like that. So then you could swap back and forth. But also they definitely need some sort of juicy explosion. Like we need,
it's got to explode.
Yeah, we need like Sunshot meets something to make it be like, yo, Icebreaker's back.
Go with the original Icebreaker. Go with the original Icebreaker idea that just randomly blows you up.
Yes.
I would support that wholeheartedly.
That would be dope.
You can't sit there just firing for too long. You got to go run around and air it out before it explodes.
Oh,
maybe that's how they get around it. Is maybe it does do the original Destiny 1 thing where it just creates ammo, but on occasion, it's just gonna blow you up.
Yeah, it should have it. So there should be like some sort of stack system where you build up stacks of icebreaker charges, and if it goes over a certain amount, you then go into territory of you might explode on your next shot.
Like a 30% chance
Yeah.
of exploding.
If you're over 5 stacks, you might explode on your next shot because you didn't like get rid of the stacks.
I like that idea. I think that's pretty good because then it keeps the identity of the icebreaker because it's still creating ammo.
Yeah.
But it also has this hilarious downside.
Like, oh, Briar's dead again. Briar, how many stacks were you at? Oh, was it 7?
18.
Wasn't paying attention. You know, they did it with Tommy's matchbook. You know, they gave you damage or you take damage for firing that gun. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
they could definitely do it with icebreaker. You can take
they
damage
could
at
do
certain
something
points.
like that.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Like pull out of your class ability or something to
Mm-hmm.
maybe offset super energy, even like because you can already use the finisher to do it. So maybe there's something in there. But
Yeah.
True Vanguard says, if you could toss any D1 Trials weapon into the Adept Destiny 2 pool, which one would you choose?
how's it not
The
dominating
messenger.
everything?
But
Oh.
like it has to work how it did in D1 with like 2 bursts, you're dead.
That was
That
It was great.
High impact
pulse rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the pulse rifle. Yep.
It was similar to the hopscotch, right? Hopscotch Pilgrim.
Yep.
But
Similar.
it had better stability, so you could get the headshots easier.
Oh, it was a laser. It was great.
I was always using the vendor hawk saw at that time, but yeah, that one was good. I just thought Doctrine of Passing
Yeah,
Death was like,
I was gonna say the
wasn't that by
Doctrine.
far the
That thing was
54 bullets. 54 bullets. None of them hit. God damn it. It's like, what happened?
Oh,
Pope?
that was a classic DCP moment. Classic
Yeah.
Pope moment.
It was a
that
fun
was the
Trials
first
card.
submachine gun, I think. Except it had unlimited range too, so it wasn't a submachine gun. I think it was nasty. What was the first? It was the first solar hand cannon. Was a
Jewel.
Yeah.
Jewel of the Cyrus.
Yep. The
Yeah.
Jewel.
the Jewel. I really liked
Everyone
that one.
wanted
really.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, because everyone was like, it's the only solar hand cannon.
Mhm.
yeah.
We can use it for solar stuff.
I'm
That
gonna
was-
say,
The one I chased. That was the one I wanted the most.
yeah, everybody wanted that. They wanted like the trinity of guns, the flavors.
Right.
I'm gonna say Last Perdition. That way it gets confusing when you're like, I'm using the Perdition. No, wait, Last Perdition? No, Perdition.
yeah.
Wait, what?
Just the perdition.
Yeah.
Dropkick says, does anyone else feel like the ingredients drop rate was nerfed this dawning? If so, do you think it's due to the community goals?
It feels the same to me personally. Because ingredients never dropped like, crazy amounts in the dawning. I feel like I get it, pretty frequently. If I'm in PvP and I'm getting a couple ingredients a match from just doing stuff, I think that means I'm getting it at a decent rate.
Can you guys hear the laughing coming from the other room? My
No.
son is
No.
laughing hysterically in the next room.
Nice.
Yeah.
Be watching the show.
I don't know if the ingredients were nerfed specifically. We were doing this thing on the, you go in the Lost Sector, Legendary Lost Sector, to farm up essence. And I really can't imagine playing like a regular strike or PvP match to get essence after doing this, because we were clearing it in basically just over a minute per run, getting 15 essence-ish. So, farmed up like 700 essence in like 3 hours or something like that.
Essence per hour, baby.
That's
all about.
right.
Break that spreadsheet out. Get those averages.
Andrew Gergen says, a couple episodes ago, you guys were talking about the Hawkmoon Sound. In light of Hawkmoon Sound, in that light, Hawkmoon Sound or M1 Garand Ping Sound. Merry Christmas. Love the podcast. Thank you, Andrew. So do you guys like the Hawkmoon Sound or the M1 Garand Ping Sound? From a World War II games when you shoot the last bullet in your rifle, it goes ding. It's pretty iconic.
I don't think it would fit in the world of Destiny, but yeah, if you're saying which of the two do you like better?
Yeah.
Which gives you a better feeling.
I think it's the ping sound to me. And I like actually hearing it from, I used to play a lot of Call of Duty 2. And I liked hearing it from the other team because that meant they were out of bullets. And I could rush in with my whatever gun and not get shot.
I think the original Hawkmoon Sound kind of tops both of them, to be honest. The original, like when you hit 2 in a row or something, ching ching.
Yeah.
Yeah. Them spicy bullets.
Cowbell.
Yes.
ZCZ Junior 82 says, if Cade was still around, what would the name of his cookies be?
Cade was around.
Well, what do we know about him? He has a chicken.
He's dead.
He's
dead.
Ouch.
But this
Too
is if he was
soon.
alive.
Too soon.
He likes ramen. Cade's spicy.
Oh,
He likes
big
spicy
ramen
ramen
cookies?
specifically.
So maybe it's got.
Whoa.
ginger
he had a chicken.
or-
Yeah.
Cade's
Kentucky Fried Cookies?
Kentucky Fried Ramen cookies.
spicy.
Spicy
it
crow
feels
on
like
a
you
stick.
want to say spicy chicken cookies, Watts. Just say it. You already lined it up that they're like, I don't know how you make that, but ooh. Spicy's a good call though, yeah.
They all have such unique names, though. Like, ill fortune cookies or gentleman's shortbread. There are some great names.
What was the name of his gun? The Ace of
Ace.
Spades?
Yeah.
What could you make out of that?
Ooh.
I do
I
like
don't
the Colonel less concoctions. I do like that. That's a good one.
That's good.
Something to do with luck would make sense
gotta
because
come back to
he's the Ace Spades is
luck in
lucky.
the cookie.
Luck in the muffin tin.
That's pretty great.
The Naughty Santa part says, if you were to bake any dawning cookie, which one would you want?
Okay, we got to bring up the list.
Okay.
So everyone's got to know
Where is the list?
what they're called. There's someone on Reddit. I have one on Twitter.
Wait, sorry, can you repeat that? I was thinking of Cade's stash of cookies. I was kind of getting there.
If you were to bake a dawning cookie, which one would you want?
Oh yeah, I gotta look up the recipes. So I don't know.
So we
What are
have
the choices?
etheric cold snaps. There's a lot of cookies. I can read them all. I'll go fast.
Yeah,
Etheric cold snaps, traveler donut holes, vanilla blades, gala doodles, telemetry tapioca, dark chocolate motes, elixir birdseed, classic butter cookies, chocolate chip cookies, lavender ribbon cookies, bright dusted snowballs, 1,000-layer cookies, strange cookies, ill fortune cookies, infinite
Strange
forest
cookies.
cake, gentleman's shortbread, bittersweet
That's it. That's the one
biscotti,
I want.
bittersweet biscotti, ascendant oatmeal cookies, candy dead ghosts, and blueberry crumblers.
Doodles for me because I'm a big fan of Snickerdoodles.
Gentleman's shortbread for me because it sounds the most like something gross.
I'm gonna go with lavender ribbon cookies. I don't know. That sounds
That
fancy.
sounded good.
It
yeah.
does sound fancy.
Slight little lavender taste in there.
Feels like that could go with a nice cocktail, actually.
Mm.
Yeah, probably since I'm Italian, I got to go with bittersweet biscotti.
Whose
But I
cookie
really
is
dark
that?
chocolate
That's-
motes was a tough.
Oh, that's Crow's. This all makes sense. You were
Makes
Crow for
sense.
Halloween.
Does he make the? Is he Italian?
Maybe he's also Italian.
Maybe.
Yeah, this makes sense.
Justin Gibson says, I listen often. I love the show. I don't understand why we have lowered our standards on what we expect from Bungie. Why is it acceptable not to include content we had before the split? Season content with Beyond Light is very subpar, and we shouldn't be okay with it.
Wait,
What are they referring to?
Well, that's just like your
weapon?
opinion,
The
man.
power cap stuff or what?
wait, what's bad?
I think,
So I think
the
maybe we need
taken away
to. Can we
stuff?
reread the question?
Yeah. He says, I listen to often. I love the show.
Yeah,
I don't
thank you.
understand why we have lowered our standards on what we expect from Bungie. Why is it acceptable not to include content we had before the split? The seasonal content with Beyond Light is very subpar, and we shouldn't be okay with it.
Sounds like weapons and planets. It's hard to say without knowing the exacts. Is that what
Yeah.
they're citing?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it isn't very clear what
The
specifically.
split is what's confusing me.
I
think
I
the
think
split
is
he's
what
probably talking
got,
about.
what got vaulted, you know?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't think. First of all, I mean, I get the sentiment. I don't think anybody on the show here has lowered their standards. I think he means as a community or something.
I have lowered
but
my standards
feel like-
tremendously.
Yeah, I feel like I don't feel like the community's not been vocal. So meaning as a show, I don't think the show's been light-footed on or tiptoeing around, like the idea that power capping stuff has been great, that it's too thin, and likewise the community has been super vocal. So I don't see it the same way, but I think the sentiment being there of like, hey, I'm disappointed about a lot of stuff being vaulted, and even Avalanche comes back and you're like, well, you got to re-earn it. Yeah, I mean, Bungie already admitted like we need to fix this. So season 13, they have that big write-up on adding 6 ritual weapons, right? And there's more strikes coming back, even though they're from Destiny 1. But like I think they get it. I don't know what else to say other than I want more as well.
Yeah, there's two sides to look at it. It's like they have to make it manageable for them to release and develop, and they said that they needed to take stuff out in order to be able to do patches faster. So like I get that you'd rather have all the content, and I agree, I'd rather have all the content in the game as well, but would I rather have all the content with the expense of them not being able to patch the game faster? Like I think I'd rather see patches come quicker than have the off chance I might want to go run the Leviathan again at some point in the future for like a silly challenge,
Yeah, I was going to bring up the same thing, Tefty, actually. I was like, I personally, seeing how fast updates can happen now, like they were able to nerf Stasis Warlock, nerf Stasis, and then buff Stasis Warlock again in a very short period. All of those things would have taken us like months to get to before. So personally, for me, I prefer having the game be able to be updated very, very quickly when something is plaguing the community or something's like not working properly, than to have that stuff. And if that's the trade-off that I have to do, then so be it. Of course, everyone would prefer to have absolutely everything still in the game and super fast updates. That would be great, but it's just not possible.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think the community shares the general sentiment, but like, the trade-off, Tef, I think you hit the nail on the head with that. Like, we know we got to make some trade-off at some point. But I also don't feel like Beyond Light as a whole is like super lacking or anything. Like the raid is awesome. The changes with the lost sectors, even though that's only happening in a few spots right now, is awesome to be able to target exotic roles. I personally, at the amount of hours I play, I feel like there's plenty to do, even if it's not brand new stuff weekly. The idea of going and chasing like a better helmet or whatever is out there, and I like raiding still. It's still I didn't like play it 1,000 times the first week, thankfully, so I still look forward to getting in there and getting really good rolls out of that. So again, not for giving it for I wish there was more, but what I'm leading to is I honestly just don't think there's any way to do the amount of content that is going to satisfy folks. I think the expectation is just way too high. And year after year and season after season, we sit here and we pretty much have the same conversations. Like, it's pretty good. I'm done after like 2 or 3 weeks, though. I think if you rewind our conversation, like literally the last
it's the same thing,
years,
right?
Are you seeing a pattern? So some of it's expectation. That's all.
The only thing I really see as subpar with Beyond Light was the amount of loot. But it was just glaringly obvious because so much of it had been vaulted. And they came out, was it last week or the week before, where they came out and said, look, there's going to be more loot. We're going to hire more people because of this. We hear you.
Yeah.
And they admitted they admitted that there was not enough loot.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. They're going to fix it. I kind of agree with you, Justin, in a way, in that, Beyond Light did feel subpar in that way. And I do miss the old content a little bit, not as much as most people do, because I do feel like I got my play out of that content. But I think they're also addressing it, and you might be looking for, you might need another game to kind of like augment, because
I'd say if you're a dedicated Crucible player, then you definitely need another game to augment with right now, because the no new Crucible maps, like Trial's been delayed for over a month.
Well, hopefully tomorrow that stops.
That's true. On the PvP side, actually, because I don't look at that.
Yeah, if you only play Destiny for the PvP, like if you raid to get the loot strictly for PvP, and that's all the only thing you care about, then it's definitely, I think, been a subpar experience for those.
Yeah, and those
players.
I don't want to forgive it. It's like, yeah, they agree even, but there's not enough weapons in the game. I would have loved to see even some new mods. Also, it seems difficult to obtain mods, by the way, other than well, I have a separate question about getting mods because it says you can earn them from Banshee's packages, but everybody says you can't and has tried. But I want more stuff to chase too. And yeah, I think that if you look back on Forsaken as well, like Forsaken was pretty beefy as a release. And I think a lot of
That was
people
an
want
amazing
to have
release.
that every time. And I totally agree with that. I always bring up the idea of like, man, yeah, I'd love to. I would pay a monthly subscription if it meant that we could get more stuff in the game, you know. And I just don't think it's that simple. So
No.
It is
not
why I
forgiving
get
it,
frustrated when they start talking publicly about like redoing all the subclasses and stuff. I'm like, just leave the subclasses alone. Give me more content. Like, I just want more content. You know, I want more story stuff. I want more strikes. I want more Crucible stuff. I don't. In my head, I know for real that it's not the same people working on the same stuff, but ultimately, it's what I get the most out of a Destiny right now. Is when they release new content. I like the new content. And then when I'm kind of I've tapped out on it, that's when I start moving away from it.
Yeah.
Now to say, I really like Beyond Light.
I do too.
I really, really like Beyond Light.
I do too. Yeah.
I've been having a lot of fun exploring, the new area, Europa.
Yeah. I've been enjoying as well. I've also been enjoying a lot of games that have come out recently.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a banner kind of November and December for like amazing games, dude. Yeah, there's not enough time for me to play everything I want to be playing.
Yeah, for people who do really rely on it, though, that this is their one game, and maybe they're even just focused on PvP. It is true. I think there's some very glaring things this season, but hopefully that is where we can expect and realistically expect more. Is like, hey, they know that, they know this, they're working on it for hopefully as soon as next season and kind of right some of those wrongs.
Yeah.
The Grumpy one says, does anyone feel like this event is lacking in terms of no actual content due to at least Halloween had the force for the third time? It's a struggle to engage when there's nothing but play the same stuff a bit more. I mean, it is what it is. This is the Dawning event. It's been the same since they announced it. It's never been any different than what it was. And if you expect it to be different this time, then you're fooling yourself.
Dawning for Destiny 2 has basically been a Eververse event with a little bit of a cookie bacon thing on the side.
Yeah. And the cookie bacon thing is relatively new for the Dawning event.
Yeah.
that wasn't around in Destiny 1.
Oh,
in Destiny 1, it was literally just a
vanity.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it's like the perfect follow-up question to what we were just touching on. Like, I think everybody here totally agrees. Like, I would love like a new exotic introduced, a special event, like they rebirth the menagerie, but it's Dawning, like whatever. I mean, we're all with you that I'd want more, but to Briar's point, like I certainly don't expect it. And we get in this loop of conversation about, well, what would you rather they focus on? Because if you have to choose, do you want those new ritual weapons next season? Do you want the strikes to be ready, etc.? So it's so tough because we're always going to want more.
I have come to terms with what the Dawning is going to be when it's upcoming. I don't mention it more than once because it's in the TWAB for like 2 months before it happens, right? And we don't talk about it because we know where it's going to be. And we talked about it at the beginning of the show because it just happened, and I think we're pretty positive about it. There's some nice music. There's snow on the ground. We talked a little bit about the mechanics, and like that's what it is. Hey, it's a little bit different. Cool. It's a nice little treat for around this period of time. Don't look for like a massive story arc, we're not gonna save fucking Santa Claus from the elves that are trying to kidnap him. And
I purchased my hunter some new clothes for Christmas. Got her a new ride.
Yeah,
spend
a little bright dust on a new sparrow. Like
it comes up all the time because this is the time that it is starting to wane a bit, and we look forward to getting a little new content before the end of the year. But people look at this free, like sort of just kind of have some fun, enjoy the idea of the holidays. And that's really all it's meant to be. But what you want is you want a new strike. So it's like, what can we just have Devil's Lair now? That of course, that's what I'd prefer is that they launched a new strike this week. I don't even care about the Dawning. I'm not shaming it or anything, but I'd rather play a new strike and dive in and get a new weapon that's rolling there. And, I think that's where, man, Destiny really needs to get to is that cadence. Seasonal stuff, I totally agree on that. Of like, it always is packed, with the year release, but then the seasons kind of are maybe a week or two of something interesting within there, but it's pretty. There's not a ton to do in the seasons where we always are like, oh, imagine they had a dungeon every 3 months and a strike every month and a new exotic quest every month, and it's a lot of content. But man, that'd be an exciting time. I hope that we're somewhere approaching that in the future.
I also want to say I kind of really appreciated the Dawning today. I logged in, I played a little bit of Destiny. I heard the kind of festival like music. I landed in the tower. It was snowy. There was a Christmas tree up, and I was kind of like, I've been having a hard time getting in that Christmas spirit this year, just because of everything, and it was kind of nice just to all of a sudden be immersed in it. I'm not going to stores that have Christmas music playing. I'm not in my car listening to Christmas music. True. Like, we haven't even decorated the house really. Like, I don't know. It's just for some reason this year, like, it's been really hard to get into it, and it was nice to hear it. And maybe that's just me. But man, it kind of lit something in me this year, just landing in the tower, and it was the Dawning event. Yeah. So I kind of appreciate it this year more than most. Maybe that's coloring.
There's new cookies for you to bake. I mean, you can give a cookie to Crow.
I'm poisoning that cookie. I'm going to shit in that cookie, bake it.
But he's Crow. He's not Aldrin. Honestly,
says you.
Yeah.
The guy who dressed as Crow.
You can also bake some cookies for Tess Eververse, Briar.
Yeah.
The tower really has, by the way, been worked on a lot, right? And I think we should. Yeah, that's a good call. We should appreciate that. It's not like it is. It's just been stagnant for years. They've worked to improve, the Dawning Tower and stuff, and it's really nice.
It does. It gets different every year. Tomorrow I'm gonna hang some Christmas lights in this room, so that next week when we do our Christmas show, we'll have some lights.
Festive.
Nice.
Yeah. I lost my place. We talked a lot about that. Brandon Williams says, greetings. Why do you think Bungie didn't put in the effort to make Destiny 2 compatible with haptic feedback available on PS5, similar to how the new COD game does it, where guns feel different, etc.? Really love this feature. Was hoping to see Destiny 2 take advantage of it.
Yeah, I'm assuming the only reason it's not there is just because of the time it takes to develop. And I would assume that they're working on it, but it's also possible that it's more niche and they don't want to spend time on it just yet until maybe more options are there for haptic feedback.
What do you think? How many? What percentage of Destiny players would even know it's there right now? How many people are playing on PS5?
Yeah,
thousands, tens of thousands.
I don't know. I mean, there are millions of consoles out there. I don't know how many are playing Destiny on it, but
you think there are millions of PS5s out there?
Yeah, I think they say it sold. We know that it sold more than a few million because of it broke sales versus the PlayStation 4, and so it was over a few million. Wow. But it's like it's still a lot of people. I mean, it's really more about they don't have the resources to get all this stuff done. I think that's all it comes down to. I think they would. That's actually a really good question for Bungie, and I bet you they'd, without having to commit, they'd be like, we'd love to do that. The same as crossplay. It's not like they don't want it. They're working on crossplay, so you literally sit there as a producer and the developers. You have this huge list of products and bugs, and you're like, how much time does it take to do this one thing? And it's all fuel in the tank, right? Bungie's tank can fill up with so much fuel to power, what they're doing. You can't. That's where it gets complicated.
Octane is the fuel in this scenario.
Yeah, you can't change the formula that easy. So, yeah, I think they would love to do it. I would love to see it, man, because when haptic's done right on it, if you checked out Astrobot, it's really neat.
It is a really cool feature.
Like, imagine getting frozen and stasis kicks in, or any number of things. It's cool. They even do, I was playing, maybe it's Demon Souls Watts, I don't know, or Teft, you might remember I feel like there was one point where the vibration pans across the controller. You feel it go from one trigger to the next. Oh yeah, it was like a dragon. It's just the dragon almost had a sound vibration, but little things like that are so cool.
That game does it well because it's really subtle in the way it does it. Like when my example for that game is when my spear hits a stone wall, it rings like metal in my hand. It's a neat thing.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm sure they'll do it in the future.
Jared says, how would you feel if Bungie brought Trials of the 9 weapons back? And if they did, should they put them inside of PvP or even Trials?
Put it in Prophecy, in my opinion.
That'd be cool, yeah.
because it's all prophecy themed. It's Trials of the Nine stuff. So and prophecy is that. So I think that would be maybe get people playing the dungeon again, get some loot to grind. I think the dungeon would make the most sense.
Steven says, "What is your dream raid team? Fictional characters only."
Oh boy, it's a lot of people.
Anybody in the entire world.
This one's easy.
Anyone
I think
in the
about
world.
it. I think about it all the time. It's Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China,
You think about
RoboCop,
this all the
Doc
time?
from Back to the Future, Wilson the ball, not the person, and Chewbacca.
How do you compete with that?
Jesus.
Wait,
Christ.
how is
I think about
Wilson
it all the
playing?
time.
No, wait. I know
What?
that they're fictional, but most of them have like a way to play.
Wilson's
doesn't
got a
have-
hand.
No, Wilson does not have a hand. What is it? What is it?
It's
Is
got
it-
a neural link, a neural uplink.
How
a
deep
piece
you
of,
looking
like-
into this? It's fictional characters.
Yeah, but all of them can move. They can use their mouth, but not Wilson. I think that's where you screw.
I
up.
just wanted to put Wilson on my team, but he's not a fictional person, so I changed it to the ball.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
man, I
I
don't
can't
know.
compete with that.
Yeah, you nailed
Chewbacca
it.
would definitely be fun to have on comms.
I mean, like assuming that these. I mean, I don't know, man. I was like assuming that everybody's like knows how to play. I'd
You saying
probably go with
RoboCop
some-
can't play some Destiny?
No, I'm not saying. I'm not saying that.
I'm gonna have
You tell him
Alien
that to his face.
and
You see
also
how it goes.
Predator.
Oh,
Alien.
Predator would
and
be
Predator.
good. Predator would be good.
I was thinking of people like Neo, who can like sort of like do who knows, see what's coming.
whoa,
like, really,
he's
like,
just playing
Neo is
Destiny.
good
cute
pick.
people.
He's
Huh?
on a controller.
Agent Smith, a better pick.
Oh, Agent Smith.
Agent Smith, yeah, Agent Smith, maybe. Exactly.
Actually, maybe you could have a villains roster. So you have the Predator, you got a
Ooh, I like
Xenomorph, you got Agent Smith. Let's see who else. You could have Mordor. Who's the
Dr.
evil?
Evil from Austin Powers movies.
Okay, yeah.
that would be pretty. That would actually, you do need some comedic relief in there too. So you could
Yeah.
probably just have like some characters like that would be awesome.
Darth
I like it.
Vader. Nah, he'd always be breathing in the microphone.
mouth
That's so
breathing,
fucking
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna be
yeah.
that's gonna be.
We'd have to
annoying.
mute.
Like, yo, Vader,
Vader,
you
yeah.
might please.
Vader, can you move your mic
All
out
of a sudden
of
you're
your
getting
mouth,
choked.
please?
Vader, quit
I'm telling you, man, it wasn't me.
it. Stop
Trying to play
choking out the
Austin.
Predator.
Yeah.
He's running the relic, asshole. Charles Walkham says, to the crew, which do you like more, 0 Hour or Whisper Mission?
Whisper.
I'm gonna go 0 hour. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, probably 0 hour. Though I loved farming and Whisper.
I'm gonna go Whisper just to tie it up. Williams James Corwin says, have you eaten any of the yellow snow from the Well of Radiance yet?
No, definitely not.
No.
Mm,
I'm too
I
I
aware.
haven't
near that.
no.
Garrett McCauley says, which vendors don't deserve cookies this year? Crow.
Come on, man. Why are you
What?
so? What's wrong with the crow, dude?
He killed Cade. What's wrong
No,
with Crow?
he didn't. The crow
How
is not
short-
Aldrin. Okay.
I am unconvinced.
I mean, we'll see.
Not
you think
so
it's all
easily
We
like,
need to-
bought by
it's
your
all,
pretty
like, made up.
baubles, Crow.
We need someone to read lore to Briar about Crow, make him cry. He'll change his mind.
Not gonna
Yeah,
do
poor
it.
crow, man.
Does Riven deserve
doesn't.
cookies?
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Everybody.
More so,
deserves
I would
that.
say it's more so who deserves cookies. Like the stranger, she deserves cookies. Can't
I
give
think
her
Zavala
cookies.
is off my Christmas card list.
Yeah.
Kind of
Why is
sick of
that?
his shit. Oh, stop fucking with the darkness. It's no good.
Yeah, he's real. He's kind of the Grinch, isn't he?
Shut
when you
up,
think about
cop.
it?
I mean, look, Saladin was worse. He was like, "I'm gonna kick your ass if you don't stop touching that stasis."
Bring it. I haven't seen that dude on the battlefield in 3 years.
Lord Salad.
Mad Hatter Matador says, if you could take a character from any other game and put it into Destiny, who would it be? Any other game? Or the Predator actually would be a dope thing for Destiny. Imagine
Raid
him as
boss.
a raid boss or a strike boss.
Yeah. Or
That'd
let's
be
have
fun.
Alien versus Predator in a strike. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, you're witnessing
The
you're going back
xenomorphs.
and forth. Yeah.
That's actually would be really cool for a strike.
Mhm.
Yeah. It'd be cool to find Halo guy. What's his name?
Master Chief.
Thank you.
I literally
You
thought you
should.
meant
It would be
somebody else.
better if he's in
Yeah. I was
Destiny
trying to
than
think
in
like bad
Fortnite.
guys.
Yeah, right?
Master Chief in Fortnite is a bit weird.
That's pretty
A wee
strange.
bit
Master
Yeah.
Chief in Fortnite is way better than
looks
having the God of War,
Kratos.
Kratos in Fortnite. Like that, seeing him do that like stupid dance,
Yeah.
it just it hurts. It
It's
hurts.
disrespectful. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's disrespectful. Silent Murtar says, "Why don't we have the No Land Beyond back yet?
Mm.
Because you don't deserve it, Silent. That's why.
You haven't baked enough
Ouch.
cookies yet.
Why don't you
Do
work
not
on
get
yourself?
Briar's bad side.
Maybe that's at the end of the community dawning spirit thing. Maybe you don't know.
Yeah.
You
And
don't
an old musket.
An old musket.
What do you get? Very old.
You've got old musket.
I mean, it's coming, right? Like everything's coming back from Destiny 1.
Yeah.
All the exotics are coming back. So eventually, you'd think it's going to make its way back.
Yeah.
Andrew Kinch says, "What are your favorite weapon archetypes?"
Archetypes?
Yeah.
I'm really
I like
liking,
sidearms.
I'm liking the breech loader or grenade launcher with the wave. Martyr's
Yeah.
Retribution.
Yes. There you go.
I've been loving 120 hand cannons. Those have been a
Wave
lot
Fran.
of fun.
I
That
like
has been
submachine guns.
such a big improvement.
I like hand cannons too. I like all the hand cannons except for like the really fast fire rate ones. Destiny does hand cannons better than anybody.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And fusion rifles
yeah.
are really unique to Destiny. Fusion rifles are fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't remember which because I think the bows have a few archetypes, and like I actually really like the bows.
Yeah.
Like the Whispering Slab or whatever from last season, which was similar, I think, to the one that comes from Last Wish, I think, or whatever. But I like that a lot. It feels so good, and it's I mean it's fast enough. It's not too slow. Like I think the new bow is slower in terms of draw speed. So
Mm-hmm.
stuff that has a really.
I like
unique
when
feel.
there's
Yeah, like
bounties or
Wayframe.
something for a bow because it's the only time I can justify using it. Every other time I feel like I'm just doing less than I could be. But when there's a bounty or something, I'm like, oh, sweet, I get to use a bow.
There's some really good bows in the game. The exotic ones.
There are, yeah.
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 I hope they
Really,
come
really
back
good
next
stuff.
season with some like artifact stuff or something.
Mhm.
Because because Overload I think was on it last season. And I just had so much fun with that. I'm glad they changed it up though. But yeah, my I would refuse basically what was happening. I would refuse to put down my Whispering Slab or the bow. I just liked using it. And people are like, why aren't you using Mountaintop? I'm like, I know, man, but like I like using it. And this season, like I've had to kind of like not use it because it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's not like they're bad; they're still actually quite good. But you don't have anything like anti-barrier or overload or anything on them, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Young on Watch says, "Hi guys, throughout Beyond Light, has anyone wondered what is going on with Mithrax?" No, I haven't.
That's a good question. What's Mithrax up to?
Is he okay?
What's
just
Mithrax
chilling?
doing right
Is he
now?
He's
on
making
vacation?
House of Light.
He's
Yeah.
listening to some Tom Petty.
Maybe he'll
Smoking
show
a
up
dude.
later. I wonder.
Maybe he'll be a season of Mithrax.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Ballsy, but still says, "Can't wait for the show." Easy question: should we roast Briar just because we won't give Crow a chance at being a guardian like all of us? P.S. I bet
Wow.
Briar skips this question for obvious reasons. Well, I didn't skip it. Hovis says, with the UK government pushing to make bots and scalping illegal.
To answer that question, we
on
already
consoles.
roast Briar. Briar already gets
we
roasted because
just
he's
did.
delicious.
Indeed.
Ooh, yes, got him.
He is always getting roasted.
Hovis says, with the UK government pushing to make bots and scalping illegal on consoles and computer components and capping resale prices on them, do you think this will deter them or cause more problems? I didn't know this, and if this is true, that's great. Like, I'd love to see similar stuff happen in the US. Because what we've got right now is obviously there's lack of the parts themselves, But also, there's this huge problem where whenever they do go on sale, they're getting bought up by scalpers who immediately put them on eBay, and then then you got to pay like 100% markup for this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting that they're like going to crack down on a legal sense of that, or talking about anyways. My only concern is is that just going to like supercharge the gray market and black markets for those type of things?
Does it make it now that they continue doing it because that's how they make money, but now they're criminals?
Yeah.
And does that
right?
push it into like a worse place and a worse situation?
Are people going to get?
I'm okay with that.
No, something definitely needs to be done.
It's a big problem. This year has been really tough. If you're like, I've been legitimately trying to get like new PC parts for the better part of since September, and it's like it's just not possible without going to scalpers, and I'm not willing to do it. I'm not gonna give scalpers the money.
Right.
Yeah, I think it comes down more to how they're sold and solving that than criminalizing, the free market behavior. Not that I like it. I think there's the absolute scumbags that are buying up tons and selling them for way more, versus some people just buying them and selling it for $100 more. They need the money or whatever, which again, I wish people wouldn't do, but like there's versions of how bad it is. Right. And I think the real issue is, come up with a system. I think I've already said it before. Like, I'm a loyal PlayStation owner, Xbox owner. I've owned all the systems. Like, can you somehow just like look at my account? Can I, as first point of entry, like get through all your most loyal customers with ways to do it? I actually saw today PlayStation had that waiting in line.
They had a queue. So what you do is you go, you get in the queue, and you just sit there and wait until you're allowed to buy a PlayStation. Then you have to sign in with a valid PlayStation ID, and at that point you can check out. I found that to be an interesting way, and I wonder if they had started with that, like people who have PlayStation IDs, you can only buy one per PlayStation ID. Like that seemed pretty smart to me.
That does. Yeah.
I think if you look around at what's happening technologically across the world, I don't think it's rocket science to come up with systems like this. I just don't think it's been that important to them. Like, I don't think they're happy about it. But if you look across the NVIDIA stuff and PlayStation, now, like it's pretty out of hand now. I mean, why don't we have some cart checkout processes? Also, why does every vendor in the world have to have access? Like, I'm sure somewhere out there you could have come up with a better system. It's just, it hasn't been a priority because it tends to only be a problem at launch too. But like, it is the year 2020. I just feel like we need like some better systems developed. And it seems like this is spurning the conversation. I hope it keeps going versus being a Band-Aid fix for now.
Yeah,
it's so consistent this year. It's like how many products have launched this year where this has been a problem?
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. Chris Meyer says, with the return of some Destiny 1 favorites, do y'all think that Bungie would bring back Sparrow Racing League on as its own holiday event or tied to a future holiday event? No.
No, I don't
think it's ever coming back.
I think Bungie's moved on from Sparrow Racing League.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they got too much on their plate. I think sentimentally they'd probably love to do it, but like we've been talking about, I just don't see. Do you really want them spending time on that? It's out for a month versus like all the other things we talked about in the show today,
I thought it was ridiculous when they did it the first time. They may have like 3 or 4 different maps that they had created just for Sparrow Racing League. It's like, these could have been strikes or Crucible maps or anything.
Yeah, it is cool. I mean, this is where I wish they had a way to third party it more, right? We saw what they could do working very closely though with Vicarious and Moon Studios and that's a different setup. But like, imagine that there was so I don't want to say open API, but like imagine there was a way to like let third parties take a crack at some stuff, because I think that's what you saw, some passionate developers within. They were like, we will make this work, and they got it working, and they're like, okay, let's roll it out. You guys got to finish it up, and they managed it. But now the game's probably so complex, it's like we got other stuff to do. So maybe somebody else can let the community do it. Mods, maybe.
We got a lot of questions this week, so I'm just going to kind of start skipping ahead a little bit because we're getting pretty late.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Drag says, would you rather be a Guardian in the Last City or a Merc in Night City? I mean, your junk is hanging out of your pants all the time in Night City.
I don't want to be in Cyberpunk. That world doesn't seem very fun.
No. The glitches.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dystopia,
sometimes you're driving a car, sometimes you're severed in half by the roof of your car, and your body is doing like a T-pose on the top of the car.
Sometimes your car explodes. Sometimes it throws you into the stratosphere.
Yeah.
It's a scary
Yeah.
time.
It's
But
definitely Last City.
honest answer, bugs and weirdness aside, like it's a super dark dystopian future world that things are really rough. So
Yeah.
it's not that like the tower and all that is grand either, but it feels like with space magic and stuff, it's kind of an obvious choice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I do
I
like
want
the
it to have-
motorcycles, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, motorcycles
I
are
don't
sweet.
want
That's
people
just 'cause
being
you want
able
the
to
Kira, right?
hack me as a person. That
Yeah.
sounds not very great.
Yeah. It's,
I don't want to be
I don't-
75% finished.
Yikes. Savage.
Patch Echo says, how many frames per second is life?
Next question. If that's yeah, man.
I think
They've
there
never
is like
said
an
there's-
actual measurement because like
I'm
fighter.
trying to figure
That's
it out
not
right
how-
now. Hold
That's
on.
not how eyeballs work. It's,
No,
it's
but-
kind of like
It's
a
not
more
the
of a
same.
constant visual stream.
Yeah, but
than
there's
it is
still
frames.
there's still like a measurement that they can do. Like with fighter pilots, they can detect up to 1,000 FPS. Like
Yeah,
visual changes.
they could see changes in 1,000 FPS.
Yeah, but-
Gamers can see it in 500 FPS.
Yeah,
But
it's
it's
different
also-
for everybody.
It's also
Yeah.
like measuring light pulses. You know, like regular lights have a pulse of like 60 or whatever because of the circuitry from electronics.
Like the
Like
wavelength.
the sun technically has a pulse as well, but it's like so minuscule because it's the freaking sun that it doesn't really get picked up on electronics because of that. So it's like the electrical pulse level, you know.
Yeah.
Mm.
Zombie with a Life says, what holiday movie would you like to see take place in the Destiny universe with Destiny characters replacing the actual characters?
Destiny characters replaced it. So who do you want Crow to play, Briar?
It's got to be a holiday movie? That's tough. Christmas
Bad
Vacation.
Santa. Yeah, Christmas Vacation. I'm gonna say Bad Santa. I'm gonna start there.
Bad Santa. I like that idea too.
Who is
With
With
Billy Bob
Zavala
Thornton.
playing Bad Santa.
I don't know.
Maybe the Grinch.
God.
What's the voice actor for Zavala's name? He's hilarious on Twitter all the time, but I always forget his
Lance.
name.
Yeah.
Lance. I think he could do that role perfectly, to be honest with you. I think it'd be hilarious. Fizu says, what does the DCP crew like to order from delivery food services?
Where do you want me to stop or start?
Top
Ramen,
three, Watts.
curry,
You
udon,
gotta rank the top three.
sushi,
Yeah. What's your go-to?
bento boxes. Probably the ones we get the most would be Japanese curry, ramen, and probably that bento box that I showed a picture of the other day.
That
It's so
vegetarian
good.
one. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. It's insane.
Well, here in San Francisco, usually you'd want to go out and get a burrito, but with Postmates and stuff, it's pretty viable to just like get one delivered. So, an al pastor burrito from a very specific place out here, because I love like shredded, delicious barbecue sort of pork. The al pastor needs to be done right. Anyway, it's probably number one, but I just love Indian food so much. So that's probably my like go-to. And there's some really good Indian Pakistani restaurants out here that go wild with some vindaloo curry type stuff. Oof, so good.
We
Indian food is
typically
great.
don't like order takeout.
I can't remember last time we ordered delivery. We get takeout a lot, but
But what if you could?
Or yeah, I mean delivery. That's what I mean too. We usually go pick it up.
Yeah, because they always. So I got a family of 4, and they always fuck it up. So I always have
They
to get
do.
in the car anyway to go get, whatever they fucked up, because otherwise somebody in my family goes hungry or doesn't get what they want. And I got a house full of picky eaters. So what I decided to do is I might as well just go to the restaurant and pick it up, which
True.
they fuck up too. But at least I'm at the restaurant looking at the food. Like last night, all I wanted to do, I was on the way home from something I didn't want to be doing. I was in a bad mood. So I did the McDonald's online order app, and I just figured I want to just get a bag full of burgers, bring it home, throw it on the counter, and then just like shut the door behind me and go to bed. Right? So I get there, and at McDonald's, you can pull into a spot, and then you kind of put the spot in the app, and they bring the food out to you. Well, I waited for like 25 minutes. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I go through the drive-through and they're like, oh, well, there's no parking because we're going to have a snowstorm. Like, there's no parking because we're going to have a snowstorm? How the fuck would I have known that?
Yeah.
So they hand me the food. I said, is this even hot anymore? It's been obviously made for a while. And they start like giggling. I was like, why are you laughing? So I pull over and the bag, first of all, was wrong. It didn't have the food that I had ordered in it. I think it was short like 2 hamburgers and it was all cold. So I go back through the drive-thru. I said, all this food is cold and it's the wrong stuff. So then I have to go into the store, which I was trying to avoid in the first place. That's why I ordered on the app because I now had to like tell them. Oh, I was so fucking mad. I was at McDonald's for an hour last night.
Yeah, you're getting pretty upset.
Oh
right now.
no.
I am pretty upset
Like,
because it happens. Fran,
Bring it
I
down
tell
a
you,
notch.
it happens every time.
That's
I'm
it,
not
Briar.
exaggerating.
If I order a drink, there's a 20% chance it's arriving.
Yeah.
if
Oh
that.
yeah, drinks are
Really?
bad. Yeah.
Drinks never just don't happen. They just never
Yeah.
arrive.
I want some Diet Damn Coke.
Probably because, like,
Yeah.
yeah, if the order like price, I assume, is too low, they like skip it or something. Is that why?
Interesting.
Our order
Uh,
price is not too low.
Like if I get a burrito
For drinks.
Okay.
and a drink, I expect both to arrive.
Oh, you're
And
saying
then when
with
I don't
the
get it,
order,
I
the
expect
drinks-
a
yeah.
way to get refunded for the money that I spent but did not receive a product for, which is never included. Like you never
Right.
get it. Oh,
Serious question, Briar. Serious question. Did you then reorder burgers and did they remake them for you and then you bring them home?
Yes. Yeah.
Were
I'm not
you-
bringing home cold food for my
Were
family.
you at all concerned about the contents in those burgers?
No, because I was standing at the counter watching them cook it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
And yes, I was concerned about it, but that's why I went inside and did not stay at the drive-thru. Because no, I
But
don't
sure,
want
you can
hot
go sit
spit
down and be
COVID
like,
burgers.
no,
Thank you.
I'm gonna look at this burger being made.
Hold the spit. It's so frustrating. Like so many times, if I come home, what's in the bag is wrong, so I then have to leave, go get the right stuff, give it to whoever it's for, and then come home to a cold food myself. Right? It's like that's my reward for thinking about everybody else's cold, fucking shitty food. I hate it.
You should have checked.
Hate
it.
I had a situation like that at Shake Shack where they were just like being so slow. They were making the wrong things. They were like ignoring basically everyone that was there trying to pick their stuff up. And I think I was there for, at least an hour 20.
Damn.
And then when they talked to me, they were just like, essentially, what do you want? I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
nothing. I want nothing.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, that's when you abort.
I want
for
you
sure.
to go fuck yourself. How much does that cost?
Briar's camera just turned
Whoa!
off.
They're watching
Oh,
the show.
big
Briar's
McDonald's.
camera is
My camera.
cold food now.
McDonald,
It's a cold
he's getting
burger.
hacked.
Briar, did you
Briar's getting
unplug your?
hacked.
Yeah.
Ronald McDonald's here. He's fucking
You hear like soft sounds of burgers being thrown at him. You know, it's like as nasty as Ronald gets. Throwing like a quarter pounder at you. Don't make me do it.
The McDonald's ninjas. Yeah.
Briar, did you unplug your cable?
I don't know what happened. I'm working on it. I'll read the next
Ding.
question. We can answer the next question while I figure it out.
Being hacked.
Right.
I told you.
I mean, I gotta eat dinner soon anyway, so maybe it's a sign.
All right. Colin Wheeler says, what is the weirdest holiday tradition that we don't really think about? I think the origin of putting lights on trees before electricity. Who thought putting candles on a tree in a house was a good idea?
I was decorating our Christmas tree, and I said to Tom, I was like, humans are freaking weird. Like, why are we bringing a tree in a house, putting lights on it? What are we doing? What are we actually doing? When I think
Sure.
about things, anything that humans do in detail, I'm like, what are we doing? This is all insane. It makes
Like
no
the,
sense.
the Easter bunny and eggs? Like, what the hell? You're going to hide boiled eggs? And then you're going to like, oh, I got a boiled egg. Like, that's kind of weird.
It's funny because they've evolved from all these old original ideas into whatever
Yeah.
we've just mutated them into. Like I saw this show on Netflix that I forget what it's called, but it goes over some like odd stuff like this. And in England, there's this place that rolls. It's been doing it like I don't know if it's hundreds of years. It rolls a cheese wheel down a super dangerous hill. It's a
I just saw
Yeah.
these guys on Netflix the other day.
people break like arms and like, but that's like really important like thing that they do every year. Just like crazy, the things we'll do. I also
Why do
sorry
we
to pick
like
on
putting
England.
flammable things to get like
We live
Miss Allie
dangerously.
just said you put large socks on the fireplace and fill them with junk.
That's
That's
true.
a
That's
fire hazard too.
hazard.
It's all a fire hazard. Everything
Those
humans
things
do
are made
is
out
a
of like
fire hazard.
polyester if you're lucky.
My favorite
going up like that.
My favorite holiday thing I saw recently was in England as well. I'm not trying to pick any, but it's like where they have like the dynamite lever, pump thing
Oh,
that turns
yep.
the electricity on. But of course, it's just like
Yeah.
a fake box. And
Yeah,
somebody's there trying to sit, and their production is so bad that they're like, there's no timing on this. So the guy's like standing there and like does it, and nothing happens clearly. And then they turn on, or that he didn't even do it yet, and the lights turn on, and it's like everybody's clapping. Like, what are you doing? It looks so absurd, but like everybody, it's a tradition, Who cares? It's tradition. That's all that matters.
Tradition.
Tradition.
Tradition. So that Sith Assassin says, love the show. Always a good time with vaccines being produced and the end of COVID potentially in sight. Will Breyer continue to use his ass to open doors afterwards? He never mentioned anyone at home getting sick, so it's obviously the superior door opening technique.
The anus method.
That's a jump in logic.
I don't
Maybe.
know.
Because somebody doesn't get sick.
What if
it's
it becomes
superior?
the official way to open doors?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That you can't catch anything that way?
Yeah.
Is that the theory?
Yeah. Your butt doesn't catch
Nobody ever
viruses.
coughs into their asshole. Everybody's coughing into their hands.
I
Spread
just
those
pic-
germs everywhere.
Oof! I just pictured that. Wow. Yeesh. I can't get past that visual image. Okay.
I was just thinking about
The answer's
it.
no.
Sean says Fryer was a dawning cookie. Why do I think it's all about me this week? This is a weird one. I'm skipping it. I'm not doing any more about me. Last question of the
If
night.
it was a Briar cookie, it would be the barbecue Briar brisket.
Something with the Crocs also.
Oh,
Watts, those Crocs.
they're really cool. I'd
They
wear
match
them.
your hair and
They
everything.
do. They're really
They were
cool.
pink and
I
green,
can-
just like
I can wear
Watts'
the
hair.
pink and green Crocs while holding my pink and green Switch. And yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I just might
Quote.
just walk around like that randomly.
Quote, they're actually pretty cool, unquote,
They're
miss
pretty cool.
5,000 watts.
Honestly, they're pretty cool. They look pretty cool. You put some good colors on Crocs, they don't look too bad.
You're in. Up for some Crocs.
You're in.
You got to soak them for a while to get the
2 out of 4
that color.
DCP members agree. Crocs, pretty cool. Last question of the night. U-Man says, you can pick one consonant sound another host physically cannot pronounce correctly for the rest of their life. Which sound is it?
Ooh.
And which words will they now forever mispronounce?
So what my line of thinking is, what do you guys complain about the most? So when you're
Ooh.
complaining, you're just saying something real weird, and I'm just giggling at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, we got to take P away from Teft. So you can't say the piss well anymore.
Iswell.
What sound does he say instead?
Okay, I think you just don't pronounce it. It's Iswell.
Do you get to replace it? I thought you just take it away. Do we get to replace it?
You say it funny.
Yeah.
You say
Yeah,
it
you
real
sound it-
funny.
Yeah.
Whoopity boop will.
Yeah,
I'm going. Yes,
Will.
Tefty. It's a very-
Whoop.
Yippity-boop.
Do well.
How about every
you have to
time?
make like a record scratch sound or like a brick it.
Definitely, yeah. The V from Evaverse is good. Let's get rid of that. So that would be
Ever worse.
ear,
No,
ears,
errors.
ears.
Ever worse.
That's a tough one.
Errors. Errors.
Actually, for the show, I mean, we should just get rid of the D for the show because that would really screw
DCP.
us up.
Just be CP.
It'd be the
That is
Destiny,
CP is
community.
a shortened for something
S-
very
Not
illegal.
DP.
We don't want to be the CP.
get rid of the
Nope.
C.
All right, now I gotta go back
You
to
just
Urban
can't pronounce
Dictionary.
it.
All
You
right.
can still see it. You just can't pronounce it.
Mhm.
All right, that's it. That's the show.
Nicely done.
All right.
I'm totally looking
Fun
up
one.
what CP means on Urban Dictionary right now.
Dawning
So
complete.
Oh,
guys.
Jesus Christ. That's not even funny.
It means cyberpunk.
Yeah, isn't that cyberpunk?
Yeah, it's definitely
sure.
cyberpunk.
Is there a real meaning? No, I kind of want to look up.
Don't
I'm not
bother.
doing it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. That's gonna
Fran's
get you on
doing
a
it.
list.
Oh
He's got
God,
it.
no!
Yeah, I
Jeez.
told
All right,
you.
actually, it's definitely it's just like an offensive thing. So don't.
It's
yeah,
a thing that people say
yeah.
instead of saying the full thing when they're talking about the thing.
Yeah, we
and
definitely don't
it's
want to be
actually
known as
just
that
something really
podcast.
bad.
No, we do not.
I wish we hadn't brought it up now. So
Let's
Edit
go
it out
back.
of the
Let's
show.
go
All right.
back to the ass door opening.
I'd rather be
Yes.
the DP podcast, to be honest with you.
Now that we've thoroughly
Briar.
derailed. Excellent.
you led us astray. You're going to get
I didn't
roasted
do
and
that,
barbecued.
too.
You led us astray.
Listen, we
Why?
could have just been talking about what Briar cookie we would want.
I think it was the rant about McDonald's, you know? I think you
was.
cursed us. A Ronald
Man.
McDonald curse.
I think the doorknob is what really.
You want to piss off
big.
Big French Fry? I'll tell you. It's downhill.
I had a birthday party at McDonald's one time.
Yeah. Did they
'Cause,
have?
'cause
Did
the
you have
ball
the
pit?
ball pit? Like,
Yeah.
was there the big?
Yeah, it was like,
playland?
and they have the little houses. It's like a whole whole thing. It's a whole situation.
I
The
once-
ball pit is a
one time
situation.
Stole like
The-
duffel
yeah,
bags
don't
full
put
of
your
balls
kids in
from a ball
pits,
pit.
by the way.
Yeah.
Imagine all the gross. Now that is a piss well in there. let me
That
tell
is a
you.
piss
You
well.
can make your own ball pit, though. You can make one at home. Well,
Yeah, you
Homemade
can get your
ball
own
pit.
ball pit.
Do you put it
Yeah.
in the tub?
Just fill their bedroom with that. Put up like a net and throw them in there.
Okay. In the
I
bedroom. Got it.
definitely read or watched something about them. They tested like the ball pit and the slides and stuff
Oh,
of,
yeah, it's
a
disgusting.
kid's play. It's bad.
Yeah, you don't want your kids going in there.
Yeah, but you
No.
don't. At any time you go down that road, like elevators, your doorknob.
This is why you use your butt.
Doorknob.
Doorknob.
This is
That's-
why.
I think we. Yeah, that's a wrap.
All right.
This show's not working anymore. Shut it down. Shut it down.
It's working better than before.
I think we really streamlined it when we get to the heart of the matter so quickly.
Oh, man. Episode 220. Congratulations. We made it to the end. And
We did.
we completed the dawning. We did it all. We
We
unlocked
baked
Yeah.
cookies.
we baked cookies, we unlocked the secrets of the universe, and we've discovered what consonants
We
cannot
did-
be spoken anymore.
We did
Really-
butt stuff.
Open some doors.
Butt
for ourselves.
stuff. DCP episode 220, the butt stuff episode.
Butt stuff.
Shout out to our Patreon members and our Twitch subs for supporting the butt stuff that's been going on episode 220. Thanks, Pryor, for championing that, by the way. We
You got it.
really appreciate the support.
Glad I can be a service. Shout out to Pryor's butt.
Nope. Well,
Fran, where can people find you on the internet? Doing your thing?
I'm gonna plug the old Twitter this time. Fran Mirabella. You can follow me over there if you haven't yet. Same for Instagram.
Watts?
I am Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Just look for Miss 5000 Watts.
Briar, you're definitely next.
it was just I was wondering how long a stare off would happen.
Yeah.
Just no one say anything, just
Yeah. There you go. That's the episode.
that's Briar. That's Briar, everybody.
Bye,
That's
everyone.
Briar.
See you next week. Next week's the
I can just
Christmas
imagine
episode.
podcast listeners are like turning their volume up. They're like, "What's going on? There's no sound. What happened?" Sorry about that.
That's what happens when you go down all the rabbit holes that we go down. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Next week is the Christmas episode. And yeah.
Yes, next week
I'm
is
really
the
looking
Christmas
forward to that.
episode. Are we making an announcement of what's happening on the Christmas?
We're doing the
Just
Secret
did.
Santa thing.
Secret Santa.
Pope's going to
maybe-
be here.
That's right.
Pope's gonna be
here.
on the show
Turn a Pope.
next week. Pope Bear will be here, fresh.
Mr. Aries will be on the show.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mhm.
Gifts will
We're
be
gonna have-
exchanged.
Also, it's Wednesday. We're gonna be doing the
Yes.
podcast
Right.
on Wednesday
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be on Wednesday.
because Thursday is Christmas Eve, which is actually Christmas Day for Pope Bear. So
Yep.
we're doing it on Wednesday, 6 p.m. Same time, 6 p.m. Pacific, but it's gonna be on Wednesday.
I got to buy presents for Pope this year. I'm not afraid to admit it. And I am so excited.
Hope he doesn't listen to the show.
He does not.
Awesome. All right. have a fantastic weekend and happy holidays, everyone. And we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Boy.
Bye.